Nintenbyte. You got the Triforce and it feels right. Like Bowser, you can listen all night, singing Peaches until the sunlight. Summer shoots her beam so bright. Master Hand always brings a fight. Catch 'em all and use that fire blast. Put the soul back to visit your past. Welcome to the Nintenbyte Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Nintenbyte Podcast, episode 29. Man, oh man, we've had a hell of a time getting live, but you know what? It's all worth it because at least to start the stream, all of us are crispy on the video version. We're looking good right now. We have a special guest back on, N64 Josh, who isn't clipping like crazy.
What's up, guys? What's going on? I'm just playing. So good to be back.
Good to have you back. And we have, I think, is this the first time? This is the first time on the Nintenbyte Podcast. I think we've had Joycey J on. How's it going, Joycey?
Hello, everyone. Hi.
She's one of the mods. Play Zelda. She's one of the mods on our channel. If you're in the chat, you've probably seen her. Usually dropping the band hammers. And she is also on the what's the Mike Odyssey podcast? What does he call it? The Nintopic.
Yes, the Nintopic Podcast.
There you go. That's on Fridays, I believe. All right. Then we got Eric's back. Yep. He went from a week of sick out one end to sick out the other. Yeah. This is a fun one.
Oh, gosh.
And then we got Stash Man's here, Thunder Stash Gaming.
What's up? How's everyone doing? Been a busy week. A lot of video games.
Lots going on. Yeah. And then I'm the host with the most over here on Nintendo Prime. All right. Let's go ahead and just get into our topic roulette. And I think I will go first because I'm going to take the Zelda topic because there's a rumor I forgot to put in it. So I figured I should probably take that since I forgot to add it to the notes so it doesn't get skipped over. So I'll take the one that I apparently didn't complete the notes for. My bad. Who wants to go next? Let's see here.
I'll go.
All right. What are you taking?
I'm gonna take Xbox, the Microsoft topic about Microsoft's future of Nintendo.
Yeah, I'm on Nintendo. They got some crazy stuff going on. Then Eric, what does that mean you have?
Something about a Nintendo Switch 2? What the hell is that?
Yeah, I don't know what Switch 2 is at all. Doesn't exist.
I was thinking more about the Switch 3, but
yeah, I mean,
now everyone watching live, we do have a fourth topic. We just don't know what it is. Because here's the deal. We're going to try something new. I forgot who suggested this yesterday, but we're going to go with it. Whoever super chats the highest amount in a single super chat on the stream gets to choose the fourth topic for today's show. So we don't even know what the topic is. Just make sure it's gaming related, please. That's my only rule there. Gaming related. Okay, we're a video game. I mean, I prefer Nintendo gaming, but at least gaming related, please. All right. That being said, let's go ahead and I guess get into the first topic. We're going to talk some Zelda. I'm excited. We haven't had a Zelda topic in a while. And this one is kind of crazy. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on because really when it comes to Zelda, the number one thing we're focused on is the future of the franchise, right? We want to know what's happening, what remakes and remasters are coming. What games are we going to be getting? What's happening with 3D Zelda? Are we going to get more top-down Zelda? Well, we got the answer to some of this stuff, and we have a rumor for one of them. And also, we had some weird feedback on Echoes of Wisdom because, look, the two directors and Aonuma did an interview, and they were asked about the criticism of the game. And needless to say, if you guys think I don't take criticism well, they definitely don't. In fact, they said everything you hate about the game was intentional. So, maybe hate's a strong word, but things that you guys dislike about the game. So, just to give an example, well, you know what? Hold on, we got to have like a positive, negative, positive, right? We got. I was taught this a long time ago. You start with the positive, put the negative in the middle, end with a positive, right? So let's start with one positive. They openly admitted yet again that they are paying attention to content creators. They are watching our videos. And they noted one really cool thing they noticed in watching people play Echoes of Wisdom and watch people make videos on Echoes of Wisdom is the unique combinations of the echoes that people are using. And one of them really, really shocked them. And that was the combination of the tornado with the bed to go flying. They said that had never been done in testing of the game. They had never seen it before. So kind of cool that, and they even said, we don't even think we could pull that off if we tried. You can. It's a little finicky, but once you get it, you got it. It's not that hard once you figure it out. It's kind of like the old duplication glitch, the original one when you could jump in Tears of the Kingdom, grab the items, like go the items, and you drop a bunch, and you keep it's once you get it, it's really easy to do, but it's a little finicky to figure it out. That being said, really cool that they do watch content creators. The Zelda team's now said this several times. They've been saying it with Breath of the Wild. They said it with Tears of the Kingdom. Now they're saying it with Echoes of Wisdom. So at least at Nintendo, the Zelda team is watching content creators. I think that's just kind of cool. Also keeps them, I guess, in with the vibe of the community, like how the community's feeling about stuff. So that's a positive. Then we get into some of the stuff when they were asked about the criticisms of the game. One criticism of the game, and this has been a criticism of even Mario and Luigi and other games, is the frame rate, because there are frame rate issues in the game. There are dips in the frame rate. This one's kind of interesting. This is the only one they didn't really say was intentional. They just said, well, we chose to go with a variable frame rate because that was the best option we had available. Kind of like saying, like, we know it's a problem. We don't have powerful enough hardware. Have a good day. Like, we can't solve this problem. Sorry. Wait for Switch 2. Like, it's kind of one of those that, like, what do you want them to say? Oh, we didn't optimize our game. It's shit. No, they did optimize the game, but this is the best they could do. Because, like, just the hardware is not good enough for the mechanics they're using.
I have a hard time believing that.
Yeah, I have a really hard time believing it too. I think it's the engine. Because is it using Unreal? I can't remember what engine this game is using, but I think it's an engine that isn't fully optimized all the way. So I don't know. So look, it sounds like an excuse, and it does sound like, hey, yeah, Switch 2 was out, you wouldn't see these frame rate drops, but you do. Okay, but like you could have made it run at a consistent 30. It wouldn't have been that hard. I have a hard time believing that like Tears of the Kingdom can run smoother. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. But
Nintendo hardware or Nintendo games should run smoothly on Nintendo hardware.
Yeah,
and I will stick to that.
At least at 30.
At least.
I understand if they can't get 60, but 30, come on. Especially a top-down. It feels weird to me that this game has those problems, but technically so did Link's Awakening, and it's the same engine. So I don't know. That something tells me the engine doesn't work that well with the hardware, and they never optimized it all the way. It beats me, but it doesn't matter because they're not
Unreal.
It's not Unreal. Okay, yeah, they're not going to admit that. Like, hey, we suck. I don't know. He just like, this is the best we can do. Have a good day. All right, fine. I guess gonna have to believe it. I guess take it at face value. But one of the biggest criticisms of the game isn't even the frame rate. I think a lot of people have kind of passed that off as we just need a new system, and okay, fine. But what happens if the next top-down Zelda is also not consistent with the frame rate on the new system? Then what's the excuse? That being said, one of the biggest criticisms is the echoes and how we select them, and that we have that one really, really long bar for 127 echoes, and you can't really custom organize like you can. It's got some presets like in Tears of the Kingdom, but you can't like make favorites. It can go by most used, but you can't make like favorite ones. You can't reorganize it. It's just not great. Anyone who's played the game, including probably everyone on this panel, I guarantee there's probably echoes we just aren't even touching because they are so far in the middle that we're just not going to bother to waste our time to go to them when we could solve it with something else. So very common criticism. Their response to this one, well, we did it on purpose.
Sure you did.
Basically, the summation of the quote, and this came from Sano, one of the directors, said, we did it this way because we thought it would make people experiment more. And then the other director chimes in and goes, if you don't like it, we do have the ability to open up the big menu. Now, I have some thoughts on that part because I don't know about you guys. I don't think the game does a good job explaining you can even access that big menu. I found out from a live stream. The chat told me. The game didn't tell me how to do it. I'm still not done. I'm like 75% through the game, and it still hasn't told me how to do it. I just know now because I was live streaming it once, and the chat literally said, if you're annoyed, why don't you do this? Oh, well, cool if the game told me that.
To my knowledge, it never tells you.
So
which is so weird because Nintendo tells you how to do everything in games.
I'm learning this right now.
So one of the directors is sitting there saying, well, if you don't like it, you can do this. Well, it'd be nice if you told us in the game that you can do you can do this. Some people just found out by accident. Obviously, you could always, go to the main menu and then go over to it, but that's slower. There's a quicker way to get to that. Even then, it's still kind of clunky. The reason Tears of the Kingdom sort of got away with it is because it was multiple different things for each item. So, like, you had a different button you hit for shields, a different button you hit for weapons, a different button. Even like, and one of the complaints of Tears of the Kingdom was like the what do they call that when you're merging the arrows and shit? Fusing arrows. That is one of the complaints specifically with fusing arrows, and why people didn't try a lot of different arrow fuses is because it's all on one menu for the fuses, and there's just so many of them. So it's just something to kind of keep in mind that for some reason, and maybe they just don't want to admit that they screwed up. I don't know why, because the Zelda team has admitted to things like, hey, we could have did better, or hey, we'll take that under consideration next time. This time they're saying it was on purpose. I just don't know if they're lying, or I just don't know if it was just they like it. So maybe they just think the opinions are wrong. As I said, a very weird interview because the Zelda team usually is not like denying issues. But they kind of are this time. It's very strange. Now, I want to keep in mind, Aonuma is not the one speaking for any of these. He's not the one making the excuses. He's just kind of staying silent till towards the end of the interview. Then Aonuma comes out, and this is where we get into some positive. Aonuma then comes at the end of the interview because, of course, he's just kind of there watching, making sure these guys don't fumble around too much, which I guess, I don't know. I would argue their answers weren't very good. But then they ask Aonuma, hey, man, what do you think about this game? And he goes on, he talks about how he beat it 8 times before it came out and all this cool stuff and how he was frustrated the first time through, but it made more sense to him the second time through, which, look, if you're frustrated the first... I think he's trying not to crap on the developers or like the directors by saying, I know it's frustrating the first time. Not going to explain what's frustrating about it because we all know what's frustrating. It was already brought up in the interview, but all right. But then they ask him, about, hey, what are we going to do with the future of top-down? What are we doing with the future of Zelda? And this is where you get some cool things because some really interesting insight. So I got direct quotes here. It says, Aonuma goes, and so this game made me realize there's a lot of possibility for these top-down Zelda games as well. And so we will also have dynamic 3D Zeldas as well, which, by the way, first time he's actually brought up they're working on a 3D Zelda since Tears of the Kingdom, which, of course, we always knew they were, but but in addition to that, we're also hoping that we continue with these 2D top-down Zeldas. Now, the big thing noting here is they basically were not planning to make a top-down Zelda heading into the Switch generation. He thought after Breath of the Wild, there was no way to go back. And we haven't had a single player, know what I'm saying? Single player top-down Zelda game since 2013. I know there was Triforce Heroes. Get it? I actually really enjoy Triforce Heroes. But the last traditional top-down Zelda was 2013. So it's been 11 years. It took us to get another one. So the good news, and that's why I said it's ending with good news, is if you enjoyed Echoes of Wisdom, you love top-down Zelda, we're getting more. It's back now. And it's probably Grezzo, will probably be the dedicated team for it, but it's back now. And that's really cool. And the directors of this game will probably be the directors of the next one. And that's cool. So they kind of now created a new top-down Zelda team that isn't the main Zelda team, but that's cool. I'm good with that. Echoes of Wisdom is still a really good game despite the criticisms. It's still really good. I'm not saying that it's a bad game by any stretch. I don't think anyone thinks it's a bad game. There's just some things in it that could be better. There also was another interview, and I'll just throw this out here. Don't know how much we want to talk about it, but Originally, we're going to have Link talk in this game. And they tried several different, they had voice actors, a couple of them, and they tried a bunch of different lines. And they said none of them sounded right because nobody could figure out what Link should sound like. And so they decided we're just not going to have him talk in this game, which is ironic because we have a movie coming up where Link's definitely going to be talking. So it kind of feels like they want to cross the barrier of Link actually speaking audibly in a game. They just don't know how to do it, but the movie's going to have it. So something's probably going to do it at some point just because the movie's going to have a speaking Link. So it's going to be an interesting situation. It also makes me wonder if they were trying it in this game, are they going to try to have Link talk in the next 3D Zelda game?
Yes.
I think they legitimately, and you're the protect, and they might literally have him actually speak, especially since it's going to be coming out either around when the Zelda movie comes out or right after the Zelda movie. Either way, we probably will have already heard a speaking Link in another format. No, I realize we have the cartoon. Excuse me, princess. But I'm
Can't wait to bomb some Dodongos.
Can't wait to bomb some Dodongos. They technically crossed it in games, CDI games, everyone.
We don't talk about those. Okay, sorry.
It's okay. So that's a lot of Zelda stuff, which is really cool that we got all of this stuff. And yes, guys, for those watching, I'm planning to put together some sort of video around this because there's even more Zelda stuff beyond this. We have a new rumor as well. We'll get to that after we get through this stuff. So what are your guys' thoughts on any of this stuff? In fact, I'm going to throw it at Joycey because she's like the Zelda guru. Literally, her username says Zelda's mama. So what are we thinking on all that? Just that part.
So there's a lot of thoughts. There's a lot of thoughts. First of all, Echoes of Wisdom is a wonderful game. I absolutely adored it. It's the cutest thing ever. I don't necessarily agree these are all intentional things. I do think that because we had Breath of the Wild, then we had Tears of the Kingdom, and now we have Echoes of Wisdom, I kind of think they were like, oh, well, they don't mind having a big bar or whatever, or having a huge menu. We could just do it again. Because to be fair, it's kind of we have Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, and Echoes of Wisdom kind of follows a similar format. Let's have a whole bunch of stuff that the player can do and all these options that they can choose from. Mainly Tears of the Kingdom influence. So I totally get where he's coming from, where he's like, this is totally intentional and everything. When it gets to the parts about how, because I was reading the article, and it's like, they do watch, feedback, and, people think that they don't listen. And I don't disagree, but the whole reason Tears of the Kingdom existed in the way it does is because they did listen to us. We said, we want more story. Okay. And so they gave us a bigger story. We want more things to do. They gave us more things to do. They gave us more ways to solve puzzles. They prettied up the dungeons a little bit more because, let's admit it, we're all missing traditional dungeons in some level. So I think they're going to take this feedback, honestly, even though they're trying to say, oh no, it's all intentional. No, they're going to take the feedback and they're going to enhance the next Zelda. Because it seems like that's what's been going for the Switch generation of Zelda. So I think it's just even though they're not going to sit in front of us and tell us, oh yeah, this was a problem, that was a problem. They're ingesting it. They're going to impress this upon the next Zelda, and it's going to be even better, hopefully. Because I think on another note, Zelda's kind of in a different atmosphere, if you will, for this gen, because let's be honest, when we first saw Breath of the Wild, we thought the art style was amazing and we loved it, but we kind of thought it was probably going to be the same formula. We have some story, we got our 3 baby dungeons, tutorial dungeons, if you will, and then we're going to have the big, blah, 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 whatever. And then we're going to have, like 10 more dungeons or something. Kind of like, my favorite game, A Link to the Past. I think that's what we were all expecting. So when they didn't do that, I think they're looking for feedback so they can say, okay, so this is what we want to implement in the next game. So that's kind of where I am with that. But when it comes to Echoes of Wisdom, it's just, I was able to get over a lot of things. Frame rate is usually something that doesn't bother me. those who are familiar with me on the channel and everything, everybody knows I'm a huge Bayonetta fan. I saw so many complaints about frame rate with Bayonetta. I didn't notice. Maybe because you're moving too fast or whatever. I didn't notice. I noticed the frame rate drops heavily in Echoes of Wisdom. And I'm always defending, you know, well, not always, but I can defend Nintendo in some instances, but I can't defend the frame rate. I totally feel like you guys really didn't polish this out enough. We would have lived if we didn't have another Zelda this year. We would have lived. We've ate well this generation. So I kind of think Echoes of Wisdom kind of should have been, should have waited for Switch 2. And that could have been not a launch game, but it would have been a Zelda game. So that would have just been fine. That's kind of what I think. But yeah, they're going to do something different. They're listening. They just don't want to tell us they're listening.
Yeah. Josh, what are you thinking?
I think the quote, and so this game made me realize that there's a lot of possibility for these top-down Zelda games as well. That, I love that. I want, like, it's to me, it's like the 2D Mario versus 3D Mario. Like, I don't look at them as versus. Like, I don't usually compare them, right? Because I've had a few different people tell me, like, well, this didn't really come close to like Tears of the Kingdom. It's like, it's not supposed to. Like, this is like this is what we're used to. You know, like this is what we love, and so what we grew up with, and so. The fact that they're seeing more possibilities here, that makes me happy. Also, I'm seeing people in chat say my mic sounds off. Are you guys hearing that as well? I just want to make sure.
You're clear to me.
Yeah,
Okay.
it sounds good to me.
Yeah, they were saying it about yours earlier, and yours sounded fine. So I just wanted to make sure that like there's not something going on here. But okay, well that's good. So yeah, I mean that all of that gets me pretty excited, honestly, because I want to see these games continue, and I also want to see like where are they gonna take it. I'm hoping. I don't want to say anything spoilery, so it's a little bit tricky, but I like the direction it went, and I want to see if that could be fleshed out further. And that's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to get into spoiler territory, because I know there's probably some people that haven't played it yet. So yeah I'm overall that's the quote that gets me the most excited, though, because I want to see as many of these as possible. Like anytime a 2D Link Between Worlds, could not put it down. Like had to play all the way through that thing. I think the Super Nintendo was such a special time in gaming for me. That's when I branched out from just Mario games, so that's when I beat my first Zelda game. It's when I beat my first Metroid game. So to see these games make a return and be able to continue and also like get this modern treatment, and the fact that we were seeing locations from A Link to the Past in Echoes was like that put the same kind of smile on my face that the end of Odyssey did, where it was just like, this is such a love letter, and that's really what it felt like. That's really how I took it. So I'm here for it, and I want to see lots more.
Yeah. And for those with the audio issues, it's not on our end. I believe it is coming. I think it actually is the software program we're using, because it's crackling on all platforms. I just checked. So I will see what I can do about that. Meanwhile, we're just going to keep going, because the audio is being recorded clean as well. So like our audio version of the show is going to be fine. So we're just going to keep going. Stash, what are you thinking about all this crazy Zelda stuff?
Well, let me take it from the top. So the fact that they're watching content creators, that was good to hear. I like that.
Nintendo.
I don't know what you guys think about that. I was pretty happy to hear that they're watching our videos. They're listening to the feedback. That was cool. So happy to hear that. Let's see, the variable frame rate. So obviously it sounds like this was Grezzo's choice. I don't know if they consulted Nintendo about it or what, or how that relationship goes. I didn't mind the variable frame rate. In my experience, I had more 60 FPS than I did below 60. So I'm kind of glad it was variable because of that. Otherwise, they would have locked it at 30, and then it's the other scenario where everyone's complaining about the 30 frames per second, like they did with Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, when it was revealed that that was going to be 30 frames. The internet exploded. There was an uproar, like they couldn't believe that we're going from GameCube 60 frames to Switch. Now it's 30 frames, and people lost it. And I remember reading in interviews too on that, is that, they made a choice about the frame rate. It's like, yeah, they said we could have done 60, but it wouldn't have been a locked 60. I don't know if you guys remember that, but they specifically said that we could have done it, but it wouldn't have been a locked frame rate. It would have been variable. And so now they do Echoes of Wisdom and they choose variable frame rate. And, the point is you can't please everybody, right? I put in my review of the game, obviously I talked about the frame rate because it's a hot topic, but it didn't bother me. The frame rate didn't bother me. I never felt like it affected gameplay or like took me out of the immersion of it. And I never felt like the frame rate caused me to die in the game. And, growing up, all of us playing old school NES games, we know what it's like to play a game with frame rate that makes you die in the game because the frame rate's so bad that you end up dying. So that wasn't the issue here, which was good. I think those days are probably behind us anyways. But that's kind of how I always grade everything. It's like, all right, well, is the frame rate stuttering so much that I'm literally dying in the game? Like when I go to attack an enemy, it's just like not registering quick enough. So thankfully, none of that was an issue. When it comes to the echoes on a single line, it kind of does make sense that they did this. And I was thinking about that as well. In that Nintendo wants you to see all the echoes. They're forcing you to go through all of them. And they really want you to rethink your strategy every time. Because I think they don't want you to have a strategy. I think they want your strategy to be, you're going to look through all those echoes every single time to find out which one is the best one for this specific puzzle. That was what I kind of gathered from reading that in the interview, is that they really want you to see all of these. They don't want you to spam an echo. They don't want you to break the game. They don't want to see people live streaming this and like just using the same few echoes the whole time. Because when you do that, it does kind of defeat the purpose overall of the game, right? It's almost like when you see people speedrun games and like they literally find ways to break the game. Like, it's really not the point of the game. Like, I don't know how enjoyable that is. If you want to have maximum enjoyment, I think what they want you to do is look through all of the echoes. And I'm guessing that also they think that would probably improve the gameplay overall. As far as the future of Zelda, we've talked about it a lot on the podcast, in that I think we're living in a time where we have 3D Zeldas. So the new flagship 3D Zeldas. We have 2D Zeldas now that consist of remakes, Link's Awakening, and new entries now. And then if you look across the way, we have 3D Marios, we have 2D Marios. And then if you look down the road, we have 3D Metroids and 2D Metroids. And hey, you never know. Yes, we have 2D Donkey Kong Country. Maybe we'll finally get a 3D Donkey Kong Country. I hope to God, I would love to see that, right? Mm-hmm. But we're living in a world where we're getting 3D entries and 2D entries, and we're getting remakes and new entries in the 2D scene. So I don't see Nintendo really ever leaving the 2D scene. I kind of look at it like this. It's like, how many more remakes do we have left for Zelda? I mean, I would exactly. We have quite a few, right? Like we can keep this going for a while. Yeah, you know what? I personally enjoyed the DS Zeldas. I know that not everyone loves them because of the control, mainly. But I definitely found enjoyment out of them. And I think that if you could introduce a different way to control those games, that would be a good opportunity to do so. Because that would solve what a lot of people didn't like about the games is the control. So if you were able to give it some sort of standard control, similar to Skyward Sword, right? Like, I think Nate said that he loves playing Skyward Sword with the motion controls, but a lot of people didn't like the motion. More people than not, from what I've gathered, didn't like the motion controls and would prefer the standard controls. And so that they were able to do that on the Switch. So I think the DS Zeldas would be good games to bring over and remake. But I look at it like this, like, hey, we have the movie coming out, right? We're going to have a Zelda that is released right around the movie. 100%. It's just a matter of
a year
what.
later.
Yeah. Would you say
Like
or
Wonder,
a year later?
Or a year later, like with Wonder in the Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah, it's possible for sure. You'd think they'd want to line it up though, possibly even earlier before the movie comes out. But you got to ask, like, what is if you're going to release a Zelda and it's going to be, say, remake, what Zelda would you want to bring out? To me, it's always Ocarina of Time, right? Like the perfect 10 out of 10 game, the highest rated game of all time. If you're going to have a remake, that would be probably the best suited game. But then you also have to ask, what's the story going to be? Are we starting from scratch here? Because, I mean, the original Zelda would be a great 2D remaster. A Link to the Past. I mean, Ocarina of Time and A Link to the Past are my favorite Zeldas. I'd love to see A Link to the Past get a 2D remake. So there's just so many options. And we still have Link Between Worlds we got to bring over. So I think they can do this for a long time, at least with the 2D remakes. But it is encouraging that Aonuma said that, hey, after bringing out Echoes of Wisdom, I've realized that there's a lot more opportunity here. Like there's a lot of other things now that we've done this that we can bring to the 2D Zeldas. So that's great. It seems like he was very inspired by the gameplay elements. And I was too. I even said that in my review. I almost literally said exactly what he said in this interview is that, man, after playing this, it's like I have so many ideas in my head. And I feel like we can continue down this road for a long time with 2D Zeldas. So it should be interesting. Obviously, I think we get a lot of the new ideas in the 3D Zeldas, just as we did with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And just like when we first saw the trailers for Echoes, we're like, hey, it seems like they taken some ideas from the flagship Zeldas and bringing it to the 2D world. So as long as they keep doing that, I'm sure we can keep things fresh.
2026 is the 40th of the original game.
Yeah, and when's the movie supposed to be coming out now? Is it 26 or 7? 7.
I think they said for the Zelda movie, it's supposed to be coming out like before 2030, so we don't actually have a date. Yeah. But from what I understand, they go into actual like production in January. Okay. But that's a little birdie that told me I don't know if that's actually out there as proof or fact yet. Well,
I heard that as well from Mike.
Yeah.
In one of his videos, he talked about that. And, if it's going into production, at the beginning of the year. We're talking beginning of 2025. I would think that Nintendo would want to celebrate Zelda's 40th with the movie and with a game.
Mhm.
It would make sense. You want to maximize your dollars. You want to maximize all the advertising money that you're spending for the movie and recoup a lot of that cost with sales of a new game. I mean, that's why they always had video game and movie tie-ins back in the 90s, even though the games weren't good. But this is totally different. This is The Legend of Zelda. It's just like with the Mario movie. All the other Mario games benefited from that movie with increased sales. They made a lot of money off that movie, not just from the movie.
Oh yeah, yeah. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, the numbers are insane, and I think it's because of that. I think a lot has to do with that movie.
Yeah, I do too, which is great, and I think that's why we have so many Mario games on the Switch.
So my thing is with the oh shit, what was I gonna say? Old timers is kicking in. My thing is with Nintendo is they don't always really care about anniversaries the way that we do. So even though I do think they could capitalize better, I don't. It's not ready. You know what I mean, for the 40th anniversary, because that is next year. However, because we're Zelda fans, they're going to be. We care about the cast. We care about every little drip of information, right? So if anything, they're going to, and this is what I think Nintendo's been doing. They're going to use us, of course. I don't mean that in a bad way, but they're going to basically use us to spread the word. Oh, this is who's going to be in the Zelda movie, and people who aren't paying attention like us, they're going to be like, oh, okay, when's the movie coming out? They just care about going to the movie itself. So I think that's why Nintendo's kind of like, it's done when it's done. We'll get to it. Yay, 40th anniversary. They'll probably tweet about it, but that's really all I expect. Or if anything, they might give us some kind of remake or something of that nature.
Yeah,
but I don't
that's
know
what
if they're
I'm
gonna.
thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
would like
thinking
that.
remake. So what
would like
remake
that.
would you guys want for to go along with the movie? Because the 40th anniversary is in 2026, so we got a little bit of time. So you could literally have a Zelda game come out in November 2026. So two years from now, and it would line up with the 40th anniversary, and it could line up with the movie. So I don't know that I'm confident that the new 3D flagship Zelda would be ready in 2026. It could be, but I'm not confident. I would be more confident in a remake being ready. So if you were to choose one game in the Zelda timeline to really be like, hey, this game right here really represents The Legend of Zelda well, what remake would it be? That's why I said, do you choose the highest rated video game of all time? Is that when you slot it? Or do you go to Link to the Past? Or do you go back to the beginning?
Okay, I got some strong opinions on that in a good way. So what I think about the movie is I'm hoping it's a original story where the rest of the audience, not the super fans like us, but the rest of the audience gets, this is what the Triforce is, this is who Link is, this is who Zelda is. Okay, good, got it, good. Okay, and we just move on. And so it doesn't necessarily, it'll be somewhere on the timeline because I'm going to fit it in there, but it doesn't necessarily relate to the games per se. Like we'll have a master sword and those types of things. However, the tone of the movie is what I think the corresponding remake could be. So while Ocarina of Time is extremely dark when you pay attention to what's going on in the story, it didn't feel that way when you first played it. It's like, yay, I win, beat Ganon and all that other good stuff. This is cool. But when you play Twilight Princess, you about to get into some shit here. There's some dark. There's some darkness going on. Darkness is spreading literally in that game. So the question is, what is the tone of the movie? Are we going a little bit more? There's a rumor right now about Wind Waker. Wind Waker, for its dark themes, looks extremely whimsical. So we're gonna have a whimsical type of movie. Um, a Link to the Past is my favorite Zelda game. I don't care how many Zelda games they make. Link to the Past is always going to do it for me.
Yeah.
Link to the Past is so much fun, and the story isn't very very deep, but it's there. But that's also a very dark game. So I mean, there aren't many Zelda games that don't have really really dark themes, but the art style and the way you play it and as the story unfolds is kind of, and then if you study it, that's where you kind of find dark themes. There aren't many Zelda
Yeah.
games where it's like right on the surface, this is dark as hell, you know. Majora's Mask is another one that's extremely dark. So
Very dark.
extremely, that's an emotional roller coaster. I needed therapy after that game, and I love that game.
Yeah, it's
Um,
messed up. I love it.
it's so jacked up. I love it. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Now, I will say this. Who is Nintendo going to be marketing to with this movie? They want to get the boomers who had to buy all their Gen X and millennial kids Nintendos and probably had to buy them a Zelda game. All of the Gen X kids and the millennial kids were all the parents. Not me. Thank God, I'm a proud auntie. I love my nieces and nephews and my great nieces and nephew. So they're marketing to basically everybody that is on this earth now has been extremely exposed to Nintendo and extremely exposed to gaming. So since they're kind of, that's who they're marketing to, I could see them doing Ocarina of Time, because whether you played it or not, you know what it is. My mom, who does not like gaming, does not support it, doesn't even like the fact that I am still a gamer at my big age, she even knows about the Ocarina of the Time. Yes, that's how boomers talk, y'all.
Yeah, that's true.
And also we're Southern and country. So she knows what that is. My dad knows what that is at their big ages. So I could see them, if they really, really, really put a lot of effort into remaking Ocarina of Time. First of all, I don't think it needs it. We got an HD version. I don't think it needs it. I think it's perfection for the time period of what it was. But to bring in that new audience, to get ears perked up, oh, Ocarina of Time, I haven't heard of that in a while. I mean, they really got to bring it. They really would have to, I think, not for me, but for the audience at large, I think they would really, really have to remake it, add some story to it. You don't have to take away from the actual soul of the game or the actual original story, but add some stuff to it. Do some things. Oh my God, what am I buying off of Amazon? I'm just getting crazy emails right now, y'all. Do that sort of thing, because I will be very honest. I love Zelda. I will buy it in any form it comes in, but I'm really not going to feel good about just buying another Ocarina of Time again for $50 to $60 just so I can say it's on my Switch and I have a physical copy. I'm sorry. I'm going to buy it, but I'm just not going to enjoy it. Do something to it, Nintendo.
I agree with you on all that, and I think it's good that we just add to it. We don't subtract anything from it. We add to the story, and I've said this a few times, but I would love to see Nintendo give it the Final Fantasy VII remake treatment, because you're just adding to the game. You're adding to the lore. You're putting more quests in there. There's more story, just more of everything that we already love. So it'll be interesting. But yeah, I could definitely see that. That's what I would lean to. If there's one game that really represents Zelda that they would want to release alongside the movie, that would be the one.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. Because the thing about it is that as much A Link to the Past, like I've said a jillion times, is still my most favorite Zelda game.
Yeah.
For me, it is literally the perfect game. However, not a lot of people, the fans, the gamers know that game. That's not really necessarily a title that you just kind of hear out and about, but anywhere I go, gamer or not, people know what Ocarina of Time is. Just like people know what Final Fantasy is.
Yep.
I've never, confession time, never played a Final Fantasy game. I haven't. I know. It's terrible. I know.
Well, it's never too late.
It is not too late, and that's why I'm collecting them.
Nice.
The ones that are coming to Switch, and hopefully Switch 2 will get even more, so I'll really dive in. But everybody knows what Final Fantasy is, even if they haven't played it, or not even a gamer. So, and that's kind of how, and same with Mario. Everybody knows who Mario is, whether you played a game or not. And I think with Zelda Ocarina of Time, there's enough people who at least know what it is.
Good point. Yeah, I totally agree.
All
Eric,
I can think about is that 40 years watching the 8-bit transition into
Oh,
Link,
yes.
a Link to the a Link's Awakening or Echoes style, and then with added item, like keep that core gameplay, but then build upon that, like George Lucas it, if you will, like remake the original game with modern tropes and all that stuff. I think could be fantastic.
Mm. Well, what kind of modern tropes? How
Just-
modern we
just-
talking? You mean like in
just-
graphics and things like
Yeah,
that?
well, yeah, the graphics and maybe some of the things we saw in Awakening, or maybe new things that Nintendo might even come up with that just to act, because it's a very rudimentary game, right? I mean, you've got like the candle and the boomerang. Well, maybe there's other ways of doing some of those items and that kind of thing that just make it or maybe it stays real true to form. Either way, I want to experience it with the toy cartoony look of Echoes and Link's Awakening.
The only thing about the toy is I have an appreciation for it because it's so cute. In a way, I almost can't take it seriously. It's like, oh, Zelda, you're so cute. Oh, you're gonna go sleep in the middle of the boss fight. Oh, that it kind of gives that vibe.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of looking at the chat, and a lot of people are talking about the 3D games as well. I think the 3D games are considered more serious than the 2D games, and that's why so many people kept thinking that Echoes of Wisdom was a spinoff. It's like, no, it's a mainline Zelda game. Just like A Link Between Worlds, just like A Link to the Past, just like Spirit Tracks, just like all the other 2D games. Stop the madness. Eric, what do you think?
There we go.
Yeah.
My love.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm gonna echo a lot of you guys.
Nice.
You're using your wisdom.
Yeah, you see what I did there? No, I think this was. I still haven't finished the game yet. But I think so far from what I've played, I've enjoyed it quite a bit. And I think this is a very, very, very good start in hopefully a long series of Zelda as the main character games. And I'm hoping that, as you know, Nintendo has pointed out themselves, that they're actually listening to feedback and things like that. And I hope they actually do take some of these to heart and, make some changes and listen to the people. And then hopefully we can get an even better game out of it and, kind of narrow it down to what we really want. Is kind of what I'm hoping for.
Can I say this real quick? And I know we can't stay stuck on this all night, but y'all know I will. Dear Nintendo, since you watch, this is Nate's channel. Glad to have you here. We want Twilight Princess remade in the Wii U tech demo style, except all nice and crispy with your new hardware. And we want a movie with just a serious tone. That's kind of what we want. After we get that, I don't think anybody's going to really have any complaints going forward. That's it. So because I like Twilight Princess. It's actually in my solid top 5. It's like number 2, probably top 2 or 3. Tears of the Kingdom actually broke in as my top in my top 5. My top 5 are very, very kind of tough. But Twilight Princess, it had such a tone to it, and it just matched the story so well. Because I think Twilight Princess isn't the best story in the series, but it's a very, very good one. And also, and let's be honest, it had the best companion that we've ever had in a Zelda game. Because Midna's Fire.
Yeah.
And I wanted to bring Midna back. So I kind of hope that they will kind of lean into that a little bit more, because I understand we want to be family friendly and we don't want to make things, dark and blah, 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 blah. But shit, go for it. Just try it. Just do it. You got kids out here ready for like Grand Theft Auto 6. I mean, You know, a little dark Zelda ain't gonna kill him. It's fine. It's fine.
But keep the cutesy art style just so it really is just. It looks cute at the beginning and then just gets dark.
No, it'll be like the little Ghibli style,
Yeah.
but instead it's like, you know, we're gonna show you the whole war that happened and why Hyrule has blood on its hands.
Right.
But it's cute though.
Cute though. Exactly.
That'd be awesome. But yeah, I like Breath of the Wild's art style a lot, but I do kind of hope they tighten it up because there were times when Link would turn around and his chin looked like it was wispy and he didn't have facial hair. And I was like, okay, that's a thing. Anyway.
Speaking of facial hair, Stash, what are we talking about next?
Okay.
Best facial hair ever.
Thank you. So Microsoft, their support for Nintendo. I'm really excited about this because this is something that we've touched on a little bit here and there during the podcast. But just recently, Phil had an interview, Phil Spencer, aka Uncle Phil, and he leaned into what we've been talking about and what we've been believing, right? And in the interview, he said he doesn't see any sort of red lines in their portfolio that say, you know, thou must not, meaning like thou must not bring this game to Nintendo or bring this game to Sony. He doesn't see any games in their entire portfolio that says, hey, you know, we can't bring this game to Nintendo or we can't bring this game to Sony. So this was great news. And I've felt this way internally, right? Like me myself, I felt like this statement was true. I already kind of believed this statement, but then he just came out and said it. So I'm like, oh, this is awesome. So this means, in my opinion, everything's game, everything. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what games that we might see come to Switch from Microsoft. And I went to Microsoft's website because you kind of have to do this with Microsoft these days because you have to always try and remember, right, how many development studios they have now under the Xbox games umbrella because there's just so many. And so I kind of made a list here. And there's another piece we're going to talk about too. I just want to say that there's another piece we're going to talk about after we go through these games. And I also want to hear from you guys what games that you want to see come to Switch too. But I'll kind of go through some of these guys and just stop me if you want to talk about these. So the first one about future games, right? They could come to Switch too. Now, I don't know if you guys saw, but there's a lot of new things happening with 343 Studios. They're now like the Halo studio. They changed names. To me, it really signifies a new direction for Halo. But I personally think that they'll bring over the Master Chief Collection first to set that foundation. Let us introduce you to Master Chief, to the Halo series. And then it will go off into whatever their new direction is going to be. And again, who knows how long it's going to take for the new Halo to come out, whatever new direction they have for it. But I think Master Chief Collection definitely comes over to Switch 2, because why not? If any games can come over, why wouldn't you bring that over? They want to make money. What do you guys think? You think we'll get Master Chief Collection?
Hopefully. I want them all. I want all games on Nintendo Switch because that's my main platform. That's my main jam. So I don't discriminate. I want all the games.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But I think that's a good chance. I do think it's a good chance.
I think Master Chief Collection, I think, would be interesting because it doesn't have like a huge player base at the moment, but I do think bringing that over to Switch, and I would assume PlayStation at the same time, Switch 2 obviously, and PlayStation would actually just be like a really big boost to audiences that never had access to those games directly unless they bought an Xbox or a PC in the past. So I do feel like that would be a great way to introduce that IP to those audiences, and I think it would go over really well. Like, I mean, think about it on Switch. We don't really have a lot of like good first person multiplayer shooters. I know we're about to get Call of Duty for Switch 2.
Yeah.
That's great. But like multiplayer wise, it's like what there just isn't much of anything out there. I mean, there's a few decent third person ones, because we got like Fortnite, we got Apex and stuff like that. But I think it would actually just be a really great way to introduce the franchise to Nintendo fans that don't know. And I think it would end up. I actually think it would end up selling gangbusters because the first 3 Halos are awesome.
How you do?
Like, they're awesome.
Yeah.
I think
Are they
Todd,
are they all multiplayer? Sorry. I don't know.
They all have single player campaigns too that are really good.
Okay.
Yeah, there's an ongoing story. It's really good.
I think Todd may have hit the nail on the head just with the size. It's over 100 gigs MCC.
Sure.
It's a massive. It's the and we may not have as much of an issue with the next one, but like a lot of people wanted the rare collection,
Rare replay.
the rare replay on Switch, and it's like okay, but they got to give us the option to only download X amount of part, so many parts of it, or
Well, so that the Master Chief Collection, I have it, and I have Rare Replay, and they do allow you to choose what games you want to install on Xbox. Like right now, I can just choose I want just Halo 1 right now. Like, I buy the game, I have the full collection, but I just want to install Halo. Same thing with Rare Replay. I only have the games installed that I want to play from Rare Replay because I have a Series S and I have an external 1 terabyte hard drive.
Sure.
But I didn't want to invest in a additional SSD for the Series S. I did for my PS5, but I don't play enough Xbox for that. So it just made sense. And I thought that was great that I only had to install what I want. I mean, I just finished Black Ops 6 today for review, and I played it on my Series S. And of course, I'm only playing it for the campaign. I enjoy the Call of Duty campaigns, especially the last few years. They've been really, really good. So I just installed the campaign. If I would have installed the whole damn thing, that would not have been fun.
right.
So I think they can bring that option to Switch too.
And I didn't mean for that to come across like, oh, I don't think it'll happen because of that. It's just one of those things that's always been lingering in the back of my mind. There's nothing I want more than Halo on a Nintendo system. We almost had it on DS back in the day. And all of this is because I really want Master Chief and Smash. I want to see that sticky grenade on Mario's nose when he's introduced. And I'm ready.
I could see him being in Smash.
So I think Nintendo fans are about to wake up to a harsh reality of what third-party games are. They're all like 80 to 100 gigs. This is nothing new.
Yeah.
You want Assassin's Creed Shadows? That's what it is. You want Black Ops 6? That's what it is. This is. Haven't had to worry about it because we haven't been getting these games. That's just the story on Switch. We haven't been getting these games, and the ones we do get. Think about all the complaints we've had about NBA 2K and how big it is. Welcome to AAA games. This is what size they are. This is why the shipping data 256 gigs, bare minimum. That should be enough to install any single video game. Archive will be important, just like it was on Switch. Expandable storage will be important.
Day one.
And 1 terabyte. Micro SDs right now have really come down in price. So my big thing is hoping that Nintendo lets us put multiple micro SD cards in, gives us multiple slots. We can expand to 2 terabytes. That'd be nice since we don't have a 2 terabyte micro SD card, even though technically the Switch supports it. Now, this is just a reality, guys. It also means that physical games actually matter. It would be really nice even if the full game can't fit, because like the max size Nintendo might offer 64 gig carts. It would be nice if Black Ops 6 is on a 64 gig cart. And that includes like the single player campaign. So then you don't have to download that. That would be really nice. So, so physical actually just becomes even more important because Switch is one of the few platforms that doesn't require installs. I don't think Switch 2 is going to require installs either. I think the cards will be fast enough that they won't need to do that. So, I think, in fact, they might push people to go physical more often on Switch 2 just because of how big these third-party games are. Now, this assumes third parties don't cheap out and go with the 8 gigabyte cards and make you just download the whole damn thing anyways, which look, that's really what they were doing on Switch. But hopefully Nintendo can encourage them to maybe not do that with those bigger ones, especially the big AAA games that can obviously afford to use the more expensive cards if they want. That being said, this is just the thing. I'm not going to worry about the game size, but I think a lot of Nintendo fans are going to complain about it because they haven't been dealing with it for the last decade. But it is what it is. You want to play those games? That's what it's going to be.
As a non-technical person, oh, what? Go ahead.
No, you go. You go.
I was going to say, as a non-technical person, is there a way to compress that?
Of course there is.
So it can fit
sure
on a cartridge?
Now make the companies actually do it.
Okay. Okay. I'm with you now. Okay. So what you're saying is they could, but
where Star Wars Outlaws comes out and it's broken because they didn't think it was worth spending the time to polish. Like, it's just, this is the industry we're in. It's unfortunate.
Do you think we'd be harder on them? Like what the heck is this mess?
Gamers have been hard on them and they just don't care. And then people keep buying the games anyways. It's like Call of Duty does not need to be 100 plus gigs. It does not. But a lot of companies, like we've been very fortunate with Nintendo that they've cared a lot about good compression. And they've worked very hard on it for decades and decades. So they have some of the best compression in the industry. Unfortunately, a lot of other studios don't work that way. Their teams are compartmentalized. They have different teams working on different segments of the game, and they try to bring it all together, and that just makes it even harder to compress everything because the game's not made in a single streamlined way. Obviously, I've been a PC gamer for a long time and used to really big file sizes forever. It sucks, but I just don't think it's going to go anywhere. I do think that there is the potential of like certain franchises could see a smaller market crash that might lead to them rethinking in the future. But a lot of the ones we're talking about, these are like mega franchises that aren't going anywhere. Like 2K is not going anywhere. Call of Duty is not going anywhere. Halo shouldn't be going anywhere, especially if it goes multi-platform. Maybe if it just sticks on Xbox, it might have a problem. But it's clearly going multi-platform in the future. So, and even on PC, obviously, it's had some success. The recent one is actually pretty decent. It's pretty decent. It's kind of a return to form with some of the multiplayer. But yeah, I think a lot of us are in for that rude awakening on the file sizes. I'm not, because I've been multi-platform gaming forever. So I already know what's coming. I already know 1 terabyte's getting entered into that Switch 2 day one. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
That might give me 6 games if I go full AAA. It is what it is. I'm gonna have to beat it. Archive it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think 2 to 3 weeks ago, when Halo Studios was announced and 343 is no more, and they also showed that Halo is going to be on Unreal 5. I think that was a very like at that point I was like, this is preparation for Switch 2, all the others, like making sure that Halo is going to run everywhere and run well, similar to Fortnite.
Yeah.
Right. So,
also the Halo TV series. I think new season's coming out. I just read that like they're still fully bought into that. And I think that's just another reason, right, to make Halo multi-platform. I think there's other games on this list I want to talk about. I'll just jump into one of them though. Fallout. I think Fallout comes to Switch too. Whether it be Fallout 4 or Fallout New Vegas or the next Fallout, so Fallout 5, I expect some sort of representation of Fallout on Switch 2 that's not Fallout Shelter.
come on.
I'm sure that would be there as a free-to-play game. But yeah, no, I expect Fallout to hit Switch. I mean, you got to, right? If you want mass market penetration, you got to get it on Nintendo as well. You just have to. Why, if it runs on PS4, why would it not be? You know what I'm saying? There's no reason. Like the only reason you wouldn't bring it to Switch is if you don't want to make money. And last I checked, Microsoft, that's all they care about. So I
put out a
foresee that.
video. I put out a video this week saying any game that came out this generation on Xbox or PlayStation, like there's the number that is exclusive to a PS5 or a Series X is so slim that if the rumors and everything are true about Switch 2, pretty much every third-party game that we've seen and potentially first-party game even from Microsoft should run on Switch 2 without issue.
I agree. Like, it's going to be really exciting. And, you know, I could have played Black Ops 6 on my PS5 for review, but I do have Game Pass. Like, I stacked memberships years ago for like dirt cheap. And so I'm like, you know, I got to take advantage of this. I don't use it enough. But also, I wanted to play it on my Series S to get an idea of how Black Ops could perform on Switch 2, right? Because obviously there's the comparisons to Series S, and that's not even accounting for the DLSS. But I gotta say, like, just playing Black Ops 6 on Series S, and I was playing on my gaming projector, so I was playing on a 150-inch screen. So if it doesn't look good, I'll know, because it's definitely big enough. Let me tell you what. Holy shit. Like, I was impressed with how amazing this game looks, plays, performs, everything on the Series S. And it got me to thinking, I'm like, man, like, dude, we're going to be able to do this on Switch too. This is crazy. Like, because this is honestly, it's a very technically impressive game, like extremely.
Oh.
And knowing that that's going to run on Switch 2 was very exciting. So, all right. So here's some other games I want to get on the list here. Gears of War. You think we're going to see any Gears?
I'm just gonna make this like real clear. I think everything is coming.
I'm in the same boat.
I literally don't think there's anything they're not going to bring. You could argue maybe some of their older games, it's going to be up to Microsoft when they want to bring those. But even like looking to the future, like even new games, I think everything's going to be made with the mind of coming to what probably is going to be the market leader again in like 3 years.
Okay. Well, if we're all on that basis, then let me just list off some games that I think are going to be great fits. Gears of War, I have Psychonauts 1 and 2.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Totally, right?
Would be great.
Yes.
Easy money. Okay, let's talk about the fan service, right? Perfect Dark. I 100% believe that's coming to Switch 2. I did when I first saw it. Why wouldn't they? Bring it home, baby. That's its original home, is Nintendo.
They
It
can
only
keep
makes
Perfect Dark
sense.
0.
Yeah. I know, man. You know what? I bought a 360 at launch and bought Perfect Dark and Cameo. Remember Cameo?
Oh yeah.
Thinking, you know, I'm gonna get the good rare games, man. It's gonna feel at home, and just didn't live up to expectations as much as I wanted it to.
All that team ended up at Free Radical. So
yeah. Did they make Time Splitters?
Yep.
Right? Yeah. Time Splitters is the shit too.
It is. Yes.
Oh my God, Time Splitters.
Yes.
I like the second one. The second one's
Time Splitters too.
Yeah. It's so good. I'd love to see that remade. Okay, so Perfect Dark. I think Battletoads, the one that they released in 2020, dude, it's just sitting there on Game Pass.
Yep.
Like, bring that over to Switch. Give us a physical version as well, because we'll eat that up.
Oh yeah.
Because Switch loves physical, obviously. Yeah, I do. I think that, and then the other fan service game is, you guys know where I'm going here. And I don't believe Microsoft playing coy about Banjo-Kazooie and people not liking it that much. I honestly think that was complete horseshit, and they know we want it, and I really do believe they're actually developing a Banjo-Kazooie. I really do. Why else would you put them in Smash Brothers? Like if you're long-term planning, right? And you have long-term plans to get Banjo-Kazooie, a new game out in the series, and you bring it to Switch, your long-term plan is most likely to bring the new Banjo-Kazooie to Switch, which is why you put him in Smash Brothers, which is why you make this deal. So I totally think we're going to get Banjo-Kazooie on Switch too at some point. Why wouldn't we?
And to piggyback on that, they've since changed the name of Diddy Kong Racing to Rare Racers.
What?
Like when Microsoft markets, like if they sell a pin set or whatever, they refer to it as Rare Racers, and it's got all of the cast minus Diddy Kong.
That's
And
interesting.
So, but I wonder if Banjo could potentially be the front runner for Rare Racers if it's coming to both systems, and it's essentially a Diddy Kong Racing 2.
I mean, Diddy Kong Racing would be great.
Mm-hmm.
And give us Blast Corps while you're at it too. So that's a game that would be like an indie game today, right?
Sure.
Oh yeah.
That would never be a big AAA game, but Diddy Kong Racing would be rad. Okay, let's talk Obsidian. So we received Pentiment. In fact, I think I received my physical copy on Switch in the mail today. I want to make sure I got that because that's kind of a big deal. A physical Microsoft game on Switch. And then Grounded is free to play. Is that correct? I have not played it. Every time I see it, though, I want to watch Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but
Yeah.
That's it. But Outer Worlds 1 and 2 and Fallout New Vegas. Those are my candidates for Obsidian. I think that would be awesome. I love Fallout New Vegas. Might even be peak Fallout. And Outer Worlds 1 and 2 would be great. And they recently, within the last 12 months, they released a PS5 patch for the Outer Worlds. So they went back to it like a couple years later and released a really nice performance patch. So who's to say they wouldn't do something similar for Switch? I think that makes a lot of sense. Forza. I think, so we have Forza Horizon, we have Forza Motorsport. If I were to ask you, which one do you think would be best for the Switch market? Which one would you say?
Horizon.
Yeah, the Horizon.
Just
100%.
the arcade feel.
Yeah, 100%.
Go where you want.
It brings the realism, but it doesn't go into the simulation field like Gran Turismo does in Motorsport.
Yeah.
So, perfect candidate because we don't have a racer, right? Like we don't have a racing game that kind of walks that line between realistic but not simulation. We have them for a long time.
What do you mean?
Right. Mario Kart, totally different.
Seriously.
Totally different, though. You know what I mean? Like a realistic looking racer. I think back to like Nintendo 64, Top Gear Rally.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Love that game.
Yeah.
We haven't had games like that in a long time on Nintendo consoles. And so I think that is an excellent candidate. But let me ask you this. Do you think we'd get this one? I hope we would. And when Phil says that there's no red lines, I want to see him release this one then. Release Fable. Give us the new Fable.
I was
And
just
also
about
put
to
that
say
character in Smash.
Yeah. And give us the old Fables too. Give us Fable Anniversary Edition.
Yeah. YMCA, remember?
Yeah. That'd be awesome though. So Fable, that's been in development for quite some time. Outside of the games we mentioned for Rare, I do see us getting Rare Replay. And we kind of touched on Rare Replay earlier. But then you have to ask, would we get it if all these games are coming to NSO? Because that's essentially what's happening right now, right? We know we're getting more games from Rare on the NSO.
I wonder if some of these games can go on NSO. Maybe not. I know I'm a big lover of physical, and I want everything to be physical. But I wonder if some of these games can come to just NSO only, which would of course enhance the value. But I don't even know how that would work. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah. What do you think, Josh?
I've kicked around the topic before of like a Game Pass Lite or something along those routes that like
Yes.
they would include a lot of, like maybe some older Xbox titles, but maybe not the day one first party drops, or maybe they do a Game Pass retro, and that ends up running, especially if it's a lot of, I hate to say it, but cloud. Like I don't know. Just I've just speculated and kicked around a bunch of different ideas in my head of like how they go about doing that to not have it interfere with Nintendo Switch Online at the same time, to where maybe they don't allow those games to overlap if they're on Xbox. Like I'm not really sure exactly how they would go about it, because Nintendo doesn't want to lose any of those subscribers. That's important to them. But at the same time, I don't know how many people would be like, yo, I'm going to cancel NSO because I have Banjo 1 and 2 now, like on Rare Replay, or whatever the case would be.
It's a good question. That'll be interesting to see how they do it. And I'm going to actually bring that up again in a few, because it goes into something else with this story that might play a role here. The other game from Rare is Everwilds. That game has been in development for a long time. Do you guys remember seeing that years ago? It's still like, when you go to Rare's website, it's right on the splash page, front and center. So they're still working on it.
I remember the name.
Yeah. When I saw it, I'm like, okay, yeah, let's see if Rare still got it, right? Because they really, making games for them has been a rare thing. They really don't do it anymore. They've been working all back end. That's what Microsoft's had them do. Right? They've been working on all the back end stuff. They were working on the avatars for Microsoft. They had them doing stuff like that.
Right.
I don't know. I just wonder what is left of Rare. Because after the Stamper brothers left, a lot of other people left. I think it would be rare to find someone who's worked there for more than 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure all of the alumni is gone. But yeah, we'll see what happens there. Bethesda, Starfield. Do you guys think we get Starfield? I feel like they need to make some money on that game. I think it underperformed. I think everyone played it on Game Pass. They didn't buy it. They played it on Game Pass. It didn't boost Game Pass subscriptions because, as we know, that's been flatlining. So, what do we got? It's got to go to PlayStation, in my opinion, and Switch.
I think you're correct. I'm just looking up something right now. Let's see.
I was going to say about Everwild. It looks like they rebooted production in 2021.
Damn.
So that could be the other part of the holdup.
It's been a long time.
Underwent a complete reboot after departure of creative director Simon Woodruff.
There you go.
It was supposed to come out this year.
We're gonna have to call it Forever Wilds.
This Bucks game.
How long we're gonna wait?
Forever Wilds. This Buck game just got wild. Man. Holy shit! Giannis fouled them at the rim.
It wasn't a foul.
It wasn't a real foul, but it doesn't matter. They couldn't overturn it. And so the guy missed both free throws. So now the game's going to overtime.
Oh man. Wow.
Anyway,
Josh, what were you gonna say?
Over Bucks lost, but now it's OT. All right. Dude, this Microsoft stuff is wild, man.
Josh was gonna say something.
Think about where we were like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And now we're like, yeah, we're gonna have Master Chief on Switch. No big deal.
Right.
We already have what technically Alloys on Switch right now. Lego Horizons, right?
Mhm.
So that's happened. Oh wait, Astrobot, you're the new mascot. Just wait until like suddenly not enough PS6s are selling, and all of a sudden, oh no, Astrobot's over on Switch too. Like, it's kind of wild. How the industry is just shifting and changing so much. To where like they're starting to value that, oh, there's just wider audiences out there and we can make so much more money if we get our games to it. And then we're just sitting here with Nintendo. Like a few comments I saw in my video on this today are like, oh, so what's Nintendo going to give Microsoft? Fucking nothing. They ain't giving them anything. Nintendo's keeping everything exclusive because they're the only company that does it, and they keep selling. They have no reason. Guys, they sold over 70 million copies of Mario Kart. They don't need other platforms. As long as their platform is healthy, they are so good. It's insane. Like thinking about these other companies are bringing things to everything, and Nintendo's the one that's like, thanks for throwing us a bone. Hey, thanks for the 30% revenue on your games. We're good.
I think Nintendo's going to run into an issue where they're going to have to like figure out like they're going to have to pump the brakes on all these other companies trying to put games on their the Switch because there's going to be so much overlap. Like it's gonna be we're gonna eat well as
I just don't think Nintendo cares. I think they're just gonna be like, look, we're still putting out a game every month. Our games are gonna sell because our games always sell, and we're just gonna assume that hey, these third-party games will just expand us even more. Maybe we're looking at a 200 million, a 250 million selling console one day because you only need to own us or a PC, of course. Shout out the PC community.
Right.
I think that's what Nintendo's always been going for is we're going to create the hardware ourselves. We're going to create the games for the hardware and anybody can come over. But I think their end game eventually is we just want everybody only playing our system, which is why I'm so glad PlayStation exists. Give them competition. But I think that's what their end game is because you can't play Zelda anywhere else. You can't play Mario anywhere else. You can't play Metroid anywhere else. You can only play it, on Switch. So they're like, hey, we have games too, but you all can come over here and just buy our system and have Skyrim and if Everwilds ever comes out and all these other games. So yeah.
Dude, go ahead, Josh.
Well, you're not going to walk around like my girlfriend's son's 10 years old. He's literally covered in Mario all the time. Right. So like,
that's cute.
Like
it's got good style.
It's not, but what my point being, it's not Master Chief. It's not Astrobot. It's not Kratos. It's not like Nintendo has still done an amazing job of reaching the younger generation. And it's not just games, the TV shows, McDonald's happy. You know how many calls I've made to McDonald's the last 2 weeks trying to figure out which Mario Kart toy they're selling today so that I can get
all 10
of them.
Yeah.
You got them all.
Of course you do, Stash.
Of course you do, Stash. Of course you do, Stash.
Oh my gosh, he's gonna pull them out, make us all jealous.
He probably went day one and he's like, hey, how much do I gotta pay to get every single one right now?
eBay. I'm like, okay, look,
yeah.
If you like McDonald's, great. I'm not bashing on them. I personally will not eat it. Okay.
Sure.
It stays in my stomach for like a week. It's not good. Okay.
Yeah.
My body just doesn't work out.
Even the breakfast.
I want to say something. Stash, by the way, is not. He's clarifying this. He's not anti-fast food. This guy has had In-N-Out live on our show.
Yeah.
So like, he'll have.
I love it.
If McDonald's don't sit well with him, it happens.
I love it, and I love Taco Bell.
There you go.
I do love Taco Bell.
Oh,
that doesn't stay in your system longer than 5 minutes. So you're golden.
See, that's the thing with Taco Bell. Taco Bell is like in and out, but literally.
Yeah. Well, you remember you can buy the Mario Kart toys for $2.99 without buying any food.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Okay.
I did not know that either.
They might.
You had to.
They might refuse to sell you ones they're not doing that day.
Oh,
Yeah.
But
Master
if you
Chief.
go in with a Mario Kart tattoo, they're usually pretty cool about what they're going to give you. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, because I used to work at McDonald's. It was kind of dependent on who was working if they would just let you buy the whole set.
Yeah.
Because they have it. They like literally the first day they start it, they have all the toys in the back. They have all of them.
I see.
Well, you know what? I got a good deal on it then. I got it for $36 with free shipping.
Okay, how many were there?
10.
Okay, yeah, no, that's not bad.
So,
only pay slightly more
$2.99
than
plus tax,
Yeah, it's not bad.
plus driving there and
Yeah.
haggling to get what I
Yeah, you
want.
gotta- yeah, and if they're all sealed, it's good. It's good.
They
deal.
are. They're all sealed.
Perfect.
I will say this: these are the highest quality McDonald's toys I've probably seen in a very long time. You have to apply the stickers, but they are very much Mario Kart 8 Deluxe branded, not just Mario Kart
Not
branded.
just general.
So it's very apparent that Nintendo's making a final push with Mario Kart 8 right
It
now.
only
The
took
two
us a decade
systems
to finally get dedicated Mario Kart McDonald toys for Mario Kart 8, baby. Only took
Right.
10 years. Next game
Yeah.
better last another 10 if we want to see it again.
I will say the best toys ever was the Super Mario Brothers 3 toys from
Oh,
McDonald's.
with the
By
spring
far.
and
Yes.
the suction cup.
I
Yeah.
remember that.
The
So many
best.
of the 90s McDonald's toys were just so good.
Yeah, and the Happy Meal boxes was like the world. It was like
Yeah,
World 2 and like
Yep.
what was it? World 4, Big Small World. It was like so
Mhm.
cool, man. It's the best. Okay. So a couple other ones. Indiana Jones. Yes? Do we think it's coming?
Probably.
Disney? Yeah, I don't see why
Yeah.
it wouldn't. It costs
Yeah.
so much money, I'm sure, to use that license. So they got to make up for it. It's already coming to PS5. It's coming to PS5 in the spring. And you know that no one's going to, I would say no one, but barely anyone's going to buy that game physically on Xbox.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to move the needle for them with Game Pass subscriptions.
Mm.
So your best option is to release that physically on PS5 and Switch.
Will it run on a Switch too? Do we think?
Yeah, because it runs on Series S just fine.
Got it.
And I'll be playing it. I'll be playing and reviewing it. I'm excited to play it. I'm a big indie fan. I really enjoy the original 3, of course. The other 2. The 4th one's very suspect. The last one's decent. It's better than the 3rd or 4th one. Okay, Diablo 4. Why wouldn't we?
Mhm.
Why wouldn't we?
We've
Yeah.
got a Diablo Switch.
Why not?
I mean,
Yeah. So I see that happening. That's true. That's a good point. I forgot about that. So yeah, Diablo 4. And then again, like you mentioned, I just played Black Ops 6 on my Series S because I really wanted to get an idea too of how this could potentially be on the Switch too. And very impressive, let me say. It's exciting. So that's something to be excited about.
Yeah.
All right. So that's kind of all the games. Now to circle back. Lastly, Microsoft did mention again a handheld.
Yes.
And we've heard this
That's good
for a
news.
while. Yeah, so let me ask you this, guys. So if they're going to do a handheld, there's a couple of things that I would be interested, obviously, to know is that, hey, is this going to be cloud only? If it is, then how does it differ from the other cloud portables? Is this just going to be a portable Game Pass machine? And then I got to ask, is that, would we get a Game Pass Lite on Switch 2 if they're planning to do a portable console that would be running Game Pass? Because if you have Game Pass running on your Microsoft handheld, do you really want to have that on Switch 2 as well? I think they probably would still because they love money. But what do you guys think?
I think it depends because as of right now, we don't know when that handheld will be coming out. I would, since Uncle Phil's talking about it, I would assume that it's been in the works for a while, so maybe 2-3 years, maybe.
That's my time frame too.
Yeah, because they usually don't start talking about stuff until it's almost finished, right? So, but then again, but if that puts Microsoft back on top, I don't know if they would need Nintendo. See, you got to remember, Uncle Phil loves Nintendo, like to pieces.
Loves them, respects the
Loves,
heck out of them.
Yeah.
respects them, but this is a business decision. And if I know that I have something more powerful than the Switch itself, I don't know if I'm going to really release my games on the Switch.
Yeah.
The only because again, what keeps people buying Nintendo is because we like a lot of Nintendo games. What made people buy the Switch was it's portable, and I'm probably going to get a lot of third-party games that I already like, or they were already there by the time they bought one. With Microsoft, you're going to know right off the bat, like, yeah, this is a handheld that I can carry my really, really big, hefty games at. And what if that particular gamer doesn't like Nintendo? They're like, what do I need a Switch for now? You see what I mean? So I can see it going both ways. That's a good question.
I think all Xbox wants to do is sell subscriptions. They want to be Netflix of gaming. In my opinion, I don't think they care where people play their games. They just want them in their subscription service. That's what's most important. And I mean, look, you can literally buy an Alexa with an Xbox controller and play Game Pass on it.
Yeah,
and
that is true.
That, I mean, they
Roku.
I think
it's going to be at hotels on the TVs
for sure. Yeah. There's no we're going to get to a point that it's every smart TV is going to have an Xbox app that just the controller hooks to it eventually, and minus maybe Sony TVs, and like that's the future that they're headed. Like their cloud game. I mean, their cloud gaming is pretty amazing. Like, for what it is. Like when I would go hang out with my dad to play the show, I would just download it. We would just play via cloud and do a home run derby, and like it was good enough. And so if you're playing 1080p is what their cloud will do on a handheld. It's just like and again, they sell their hardware with their subscription to Game Pass now. You can go and buy an Xbox and spend $25 for 2 years. Have 2 years of Game Pass and pay off. You save at the end of the day, but you're still paying them for the subscription to Game Pass.
Yeah, that's good points, and I agree with you. I think the end goal, 100%, is Game Pass, is being the Netflix of gaming and getting it everywhere. And they've made that really clear. So I don't think we're like jumping any sort of conclusions here. I think that's their goal. So
on a little bit of a flip side, though, I do think they may look at the overall sales of physical media on the Nintendo side of things, and that may pique their interest a little bit to have, kind of like we mentioned earlier on, if they go, I don't know what the profit margins are if they have to go with a much bigger cart, what, how that kind of works out, the Nintendo tax and all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know what kind of deals they're going to be doing to make sure at the end of the day they're still making that buck.
Yeah, I expect them to come out physically, Microsoft games on the Switch, but I don't expect this console, this portable handheld console, to have physical games at all. That would be a step backwards in, I think, Microsoft's overall mindset. And I was on another podcast maybe a month or two ago, and I was doing some research for it, and I was looking at cloud gaming and what the projections are, right? Future projections, and I learned that of all the companies that are investing in cloud gaming research, Microsoft has spent the most money. Apple's in there, and somebody else, some other big name, I forget who it was, but their futures in cloud gaming. I personally believe that Microsoft has raised the red flag when it comes to console gaming. they know they're never going to get first. They want to be first, though. Microsoft is a market leader. They pride themselves in that. And I think after 20 years, it's been 20 years now, or it's been, 23 years? Xbox came out in 2001. And they've never got first. They're always finishing, not always last, but damn near close to always last. I think they think that in order to be first, we need to go a different direction. And that is cloud gaming. That is being the Netflix of gaming. This is how we can become first. We create a new market. We create something totally different. We're the pioneers of this. We're the pioneers now of cloud gaming. Yes, Google tried it with Stadia, but they tried it and they failed because it's not here anymore. I think they think that they can take it to new levels and that they have the games to back it up now because they got Game Pass, because they bought tons of development studios. So I think that's the direction they're going. And so if we look at it that way, then yeah, it would make sense for it to switch to, if they can come to an agreement. I don't know how that's going to look behind the scenes. I don't know who's paying who and how much in order to make this happen. You know what I mean? I don't know if they're going to be okay with that. I don't know if Nintendo wants that. Because then it's competing with NSO. Maybe it's competing with their games too. With their first party titles. I don't know.
Well, and something I saw today that I think is somewhat relevant to the conversation of Game Pass and cloud gaming is what AI is doing with gaming. And essentially this model showed like a helicopter going through different terrain, but it was big picture. And the terrain was only what you were seeing, and it was being generated in very small increments. So you didn't have to have like, you look around in Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, and it's like, it's all rendered, right? It's all this, well, what's being touched now by your player, if you will, can be much smaller because it can be generated via AI. So like that's gonna, I would assume, only make cloud gaming even that much better once more of this stuff is integrated, and then make it that much easier to play our games streamed, which is crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. And I think that their handheld would most likely be cloud-based. It would be nice to have the ability to like download games, right? And have them like natively.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like a PlayStation Portal.
Yeah.
So I would hope we get that and have the option to download the game or do cloud, because there's a lot of people who don't have good internet, because I also researched that too. And it's actually quite a bit more than people would probably think. So if you limit yourself to just cloud gaming, you kind of screw yourself too out of a huge market, which is like all the people who don't have good internet.
I have a question about that. Again, non-technical person. So, because I would imagine this, the system would have some way, even though it's portable, it would have some way to have an Ethernet cable or whatever it is to plug right in. Does that help at all?
It would if they have an Ethernet port on the handheld. Yeah, it would help for sure, because now, I mean, you're not running Wi-Fi. You're using like a direct connect internet.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a matter of if they would.
It just, I'm guessing it doesn't guarantee that it's going to run perfectly still.
Yeah, it doesn't guarantee it. I mean, it's still based on ultimately on your internet, on your speed. But do any of the other portables, like the cloud handhelds, do any of them have Ethernet ports? Has that been it? Like, I'm curious myself, because now that you mention it, I'm like, that would be nice. That would be a nice option. Ethernet is always a good option.
Even though it kind of defeats the purpose.
I don't see a reality, though, of them not making it dockable, just like a Switch.
So just
with an
copy switch.
Ethernet in the dock.
Well, I think you bring up a good point because I think the timeline, like you mentioned, Joyce, you probably around like 2 or 3 years. I think the timeline is going to be when PS6 and the next Xbox come out, because I think this is going to be, it could very well be the next Xbox. Because why are you selling, if your goal is to go completely cloud, right? You have no need to really sell a home console. You can play Xbox on your Roku. You can play it on everywhere else. So if you want to play these portably, hey, we got this now instead of a home console. So
Interesting.
I think it will line up with PS6 and whatever they end up calling this next Xbox. I think that is the next Xbox, is their handheld.
Okay. I'm excited to see what that looks like. I really am, actually. I'm not a big third Xbox. I'll never probably own a PlayStation, but I'm excited to see what that looks like.
Yeah. I'm excited for a couple of reasons. One, it means like they'll probably have a version of Windows that doesn't suck on handheld. That would be nice. And two, like Steam Deck's like the closest thing we have to like a really nice ecosystem on those handheld PCs. But not everything's really compatible. And I think that, I mean, most things are, by the way. I'm just saying a lot of things aren't. So I think it would be nice to see like if they can make a handheld that's pretty powerful. Maybe they take a cue from Nintendo, include some sort of dock. Steam Deck, you got to buy it separate. Microsoft can differentiate, include the dock. And heck, include the dock and throw in an Xbox controller with it too, just for shits and giggles. Why not? Promote that. Hey, you want to use this like a traditional Xbox? You can. And then, yeah, I honestly think that it would be at this point one of the smartest moves Microsoft can make as a PC company is like stop trying to go head to head with PlayStation. It's clearly not working. And even there's a few little warning signs that even PlayStation strategy is slipping a little, just a little. Still very popular, but they've had a few slip ups this gen. We'll see if they fix it up with PlayStation 6. They probably will. By the way, they had slip ups in the PlayStation 3 gen as well, and they fixed it all up for PlayStation 4. So, I'm not saying that like Sony's in trouble or anything. I'm just saying that like there's a few slip ups there. Microsoft's already really far behind the 8-ball. It would kind of make sense to go this route, and I don't think it's any really direct competition for Nintendo. Nintendo's not making a PC. They're not interested in going that route, and I honestly think that this would, if anything, could actually eat into or popularize more the idea of PC gaming for people that are scared to get into it because it's so. I'm a tinkerer, so I love PC gaming. I love how tinkery it is. You can tinker with everything, but a lot of consumers don't. They want plug and play.
Yep, that's true.
One of the number one complaints on PlayStation 5 is they have all these different settings and stuff you can pick for your games. Which, by the way, is a great segue to our next topic.
Yeah.
Before we dive into it, though, I want to make sure I throw up the super chat because it was from this topic. This was just from Switch It Up. Popped in here for a couple bucks and said, hey, these are the safe bets. Yeah, it's for games coming to Switch 2. Fallout 76, Elder Scrolls Online, Halo Master Chief Collection, and Sea of Thieves.
Elder Scrolls, definitely.
Yeah.
I can really see that. We love our... What is Elder Scrolls considered? Like action or RPG-ish? What is it?
Western RPG.
I just know we like those kind of games, basically.
Yeah.
Games that even look like that.
Skyrim did well. Yeah. Elder Scrolls Online, there's no reason. That shouldn't be over.
It's like an open world RPG.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no reason that shouldn't be over. So thank you so much for the $2. Let's segue then. Eric, what's our final topic, buddy?
Well, yeah, I mean, considering we haven't had a super chat for the last topic, so yeah. No. So we're talking about the new rumor for Nintendo Switch 2. Mr. Nash Weedle has given us a rumor. I'm assuming it's Mr. Sorry, I guess
it just goes by Nash Weedle.
Yes.
He's just a user on Twitter.
Yep.
It's fine.
A rumor that comes with an interesting thought. First, this is what they said. Leak Express, Nintendo Switch 2 has a performance selector for portable mode from its own menu. Prioritize battery or power. This was what was revealed by a developer with some colleagues, along with other details about the dev kit. It seems Nintendo wants to avoid multiple graphic options of the games and simplify it to just a few options within the console itself. What does this mean? Do we like it? Do we think it's happening?
Obviously, a rumor's a rumor. Nash Weedle's not always the most reliable, although he was right about the Mario and Luigi stuff. That's one of the biggest things he's gotten right lately. I'm kind of of mind that, look, the other consoles have options. Switch has options for developers. There's different performance options they can choose in handheld. The highest, they have 3 different levels, and the highest level has to be approved by Nintendo for you to use it. And if you do use it, obviously it reduces battery life, because you'd be giving up battery life, right? Like, basically, there would still be the 2 modes. You'd have your handheld, your dock mode, and it'd have your base handheld mode. But then I liken this to maybe it's a toggle in settings where you can make handheld mode as powerful as docked mode, but you're probably only getting an hour of battery life out of the system doing that. So it would be like a choice on the user. So I think this would be like Nintendo's answer to, like, sometimes you play in handheld and some of those third-party games are really choppy, but they're not as choppy in docked mode. Well, hit the toggle. Now you get that full performance in handheld, but you are only going to get an hour of battery unless you have an external battery bank or something like that. Also, the reason why I actually like this idea is, I don't know about you guys. I play in handheld a lot, but a lot of times when I play in handheld, I'm actually at home. So I'm not far away from an outlet ever. Mm-hmm. I could easily sit in my bed. And if there's a USB-C port on top too, like the prototype had one on the bottom and top, I got no problem plugging in game and handheld. The question is obviously just going to be the cooling. Like, can it stay cool enough, in your hand for that? That I don't know. That's up to Nintendo and whatever cooling they went. If they went with a vapor chamber with a fan, oh yeah, they're fine. But vapor chambers are expensive, so they might not have done that. But a lot of our phones have vapor chambers. That's why they can get quite warm, but never to the point that it, at least it shouldn't get to the point that it feels uncomfortable. So that's kind of like my take on it. Is I really like this idea, and here I'll put the translation up here since I know a lot of people can't speak that language. I should say a lot of people can't. I can't speak it. So. But yeah, I like the idea. I think as an option, it's fine. I think it's off by default, clearly. The concern is that if developers know this is an option, which is where we're getting this information from, for the end user, they may not bother to optimize for handheld mode and just say, turn the toggle on. And that would bother me. That would really bother me. Now, Nintendo will probably always optimize, right? Mm-hmm. They want max battery life. They want you to play this on the go, on the bus, on the trains, on the playgrounds. But I could see like some third-party devs being like, oh, we don't have to optimize for handheld? We can just turn the toggle on? Cool. Bet. So that's kind of the negative. That's kind of like, it wouldn't surprise me at all. So like that's sort of the negative. But I think, giving users options and having to be a simple one toggle option on off, I think that's the best way to do it. Don't ask Nintendo users to mess with a bunch of settings. Just on off. I think I'm cool with it.
Do you want to run in progressive scan? Press A now.
we had those options like that before. It was like, do you want a progressive? Yes or no? Even on Switch right now, you go in. Like, do you want to run in 1080p or do you want to lower the resolution? It's we have options, but I think people for the most part are used to like the TV setting options, like choosing your resolution and stuff. But this would be a graphics option. And instead of like, as a PC tinkerer, I want, hey, let me just do sliders for everything. But then I'm like, yeah, but for the general, like my kids, just on off. They don't want to think about it. It's on off.
On a recent PS5 game, you start it up and it says, do you want fidelity mode or performance mode? something
Yeah.
along those lines. You know, so
Yeah, they probably would just call it. Do you want high power mode or battery mode? Kind of like a laptop.
Hmm.
You can make your laptop run just as well on battery as you can plugged in, but you're not going to get a lot of battery life out of it.
Hmm.
That's
And I
usually
think
why.
it also depends on the game, right? Because I know for me, I didn't want to play Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom in dock mode personally, but Echoes of Wisdom, it looked great either way. I actually thought it was a little bit better on handheld, at least in my experience. So I think it depends on the game as well.
Sure.
So there's that.
I-
But then there's some people who just want to walk around with their Switch all the time. So it depends.
Yeah,
I played the whole thing handheld, and there was very few instances of like the performance stuff with Echoes.
Oh, okay.
yeah, everyone's different. It affects people differently. I had a lot of problems with some of the. I'm still playing like some of the Echoes. When that FPS hits, I'm like, that is not where I put that echo. But thanks. Like that's when I notice it the most. Is like I'm summoning certain echoes, and that is literally not where I told you to put it. But there was a frame skip, and that fucked me up.
Okay, I did have one because my Lionel, because I found him like at the very end of the game because I didn't know he was in there.
I still haven't found him.
Oh gosh, yeah, you'll find him. Don't worry. But I know that must have been a frame skip because I put him like right in front of me to fight some bokoblins or something, and like, why did you go over there? I'm like, try. What are you doing? And he like ends up like he kept going off the different side of like the screen, and I was like, okay, what's happening? Y'all know I'm not technically savvy. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's placing some of the echoes when there's a lot of chaos on screen that I've really noticed, and I'm like, oh man, this is not feeling fantastic. It's not responsive, but it's not like it breaks the game. So, like in a case like that, yeah, I'd rather the game just be fully optimized and not be given excuses for it not to be. But if I can just hit a switch and there's no problems anymore, why wouldn't I? Now, the battery life. Okay, cool. Well, I'm playing at home. I'll plug in if I need to.
This also sounds like a simplified approach to what PlayStation does.
Yeah, because they have like 3 or 4 options, and that's on the system level. And then the games have their own options. It's
Well,
weird.
they have more options now too, because of PS5 Pro. But the main options, right, are performance and quality.
Yeah,
and I think Nintendo would like to really simplify that for Nintendo users, right? And so I think you tell the developers, everyone, to max out the game's performance. But then we're going to have the battery mode where it's, like what's going to suffer? Is it going to be frame rate? Is it going to be resolution? Or is it literally just going to be the battery? I don't know. But I think Nintendo wants to make it really simple for us to where we're not having to choose frame rate or resolution. I don't think they like giving the consumers that option. Like, I don't think they want us to have to make that decision.
Yeah.
That's not like the Nintendo way, I guess you could say. So, I think it's fine. Like, hey, if you're playing Tetris, probably going to play on battery mode, right? Just by default.
Yeah, I mean, I don't need.
Yeah, there's certain games where it's like, obviously, you don't need the best performance. You could put it in a battery mode. There's so many 2D games I play, so many side scrollers.
Yeah, most indie games I probably would never toggle it on.
Yeah.
But and even like a lot of Nintendo games I probably wouldn't. But there's some that like, hey, if I'm playing Call of Duty and my frame rates are less than ideal in handheld, I'm gonna probably turn that sumbitch on because frame rates really matter when you're playing those multiplayer matches in Call of Duty.
They do. Like, I don't play that much in handheld, but if I was in school, like if I was in middle school, grade school, high school, man, I'd be playing that all the time in class. I was already doing that with my Game Boy and my GBA SP. I'd be all over that. So this decision would probably affect me more if I was in school. But otherwise, I'm playing on my TV for the most part. I have a very hard time playing it when somebody else is driving. Like when I'm in a moving vehicle, it just does not sit right. So I just can't, I don't know why I just can't do that. And that would be such an ideal time to play it. But if I'm flying, I can play no problem. I don't know.
Do we really want the kids having to switch in school? I know we all did it on some level, but
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing.
that's such an aunt response.
This is what I've always said. I'll give you the Godfather response because I don't have kids either, but I'm a Godfather. Is that
We have the best life.
yeah? If you get good grades, you have to get good grades to be able to do this stuff. I got good grades in school.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't try that hard either. And I'm not saying that like I'm really smart or anything like that. I want to make that clear. That's not what I'm trying to say. Is that I just didn't focus on it a lot. I was really into a lot of other things. And I thought a lot of the things that we were learning, to be perfectly honest, even when I was in high school, I just felt like they were bullshit. That was my personal feeling when I was in school. Like, I'm never going to use this outside of school kind of attitude. But there were things that I knew I would use outside of school. And that's when I like really perked up. I'm like, this is good shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know I'm going to use this outside of school. And it's a different time now, God. Kids in school now can go on the internet and learn whatever they want. Whatever's going to apply
true.
outside of school. It's different
That
now,
is
yeah.
true.
You know, back in our day, we had to go to the library. We had to hope that the book we needed, whatever resource, whatever reference we were using, we would have to hope that it wasn't checked out. Literally. It was different times. But yeah, you know, here's the thing, guys. I don't condone playing video games in school if you get bad grades. You need to have your priorities right. You need to get the good grades first. And once you do that, then you probably play some video games in school. But you have to have the good grades.
Yep.
You have to have the good grades to back it up. That's what I've always said.
We lived more dangerously back in our day. We actually had to physically pass paper notes to each other in class. Now you guys just get to text.
Yep. It was all about those paper notes.
Do you like
I
me?
still
Check
have
yes
some
or
of
no.
Right.
That was fun. That and playing games on your calculator.
Right.
I didn't do that. I was the note passer, though.
There was a couple I played on my calculator. Yeah. Yeah. They were like the best games ever because it was the only thing I could play in class and not get busted for.
I always put my backpack on my desk, or I'd stack like a couple of binders, like and a couple 3-ring binders, and then you just sit down like low enough, and you can have your game console, and your backpack covers it. It's like you got a blocker in front of you the whole time in football, always blocking for you.
Yeah, that doesn't work at my school. I went to a smaller Catholic school. If you had that much shit on your desk, they'd come over and swipe it all off and say, "What the fuck are you doing?"
That's true. My
Oh my
mom went to
gosh.
Catholic school, and she said the nuns used to take the rulers
Oh, yep.
and slap the shit out of their hands.
Yeah,
So,
they
yes.
can't do that anymore. They can't do that anymore. but
Pretty
yeah,
cool though.
there's all that shit on the desk. They know something's fucking up. They'd be like,
I
"Clear
was
that
the note
desk."
passer. I was the note passer, and I always had. I'm a huge reader. For those who don't know, I love my books more than I love my games, and I was always, the kid in school that, just reading, and the teacher's going over something completely different, and I wasn't even reading school material. Of course, I was always reading like something else for fun.
Of course.
So yeah,
Baby. That's what I was. A lot of my textbooks had comic books in them instead.
Yeah, or Nintendo Powers.
Open your textbook. I'm like, okay. Oh, why aren't you setting your textbook flat? I just like holding and reading like this.
I don't know how we got there, but yeah. Anyway,
yeah. So, is this like a mode you guys would ever think you'd use in handheld?
Yeah,
it depends on the game.
yeah, exactly.
If I'm at home, just plug in. Let's go.
If
I just
I'm
hope
playing,
it's a simple toggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want it to be. My fear is we have this toggle, and then we'll also have like 5 different in-game toggles, And I'm like, nah, let's not overcomplicate this process.
Mhm.
Let's not do that. This is not the power of a PlayStation 5. Let's not overcomplicate things. We have a handheld mode and we have a docked mode. One toggle, that's all.
And then at that point, God,
Little in joke from a lawyer commercial that's on every single sports game out here.
yeah.
Gruber Law Offices.
Oh,
One call.
That's
all.
Lord.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
They've been running the same commercial for like 20 years. Anyways.
I forgot what it is now.
Wait, who? You guys talking about Lerner and Rowe?
No, Gruber.
they're very similar.
Yeah.
They have
Oh,
a very
yeah.
similar commercial. Yeah.
Yeah, it's classic, man.
Oh Lord.
One call, that's all. Yeah, great. It's a great song, though. It is truly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing though, I mean, yeah, it's a great setting to have. Now question is do you, one thing I could see happening though is you set it for performance mode and you put it in your dock, and then all of a sudden you take it out and forget that you have it in power mode, and you put it in your dock, and then you take it out and you forget you have it in power mode, and all of a sudden your battery's dead. And you're like,
oh, good point.
All they would have to do is whenever you undock it, just put a little warning on the screen.
Right.
Hey,
Yes.
you're in power mode. Would you like to turn that off?
No, absolutely. No, that's what I was getting to. Was
Like, very simple for them. That's just a OS
They do-
level.
Just like when your Switch, like your controller's detached somehow, and the big screen comes up and it's like press the L and R button for whatever you're using. Yeah.
no, for sure.
Well,
That's where I was getting. That's where I was
Also,
getting
if you remap your controller, and then when you turn your Switch off, you turn it back on. It's like, hey, remember this is remap. Like if you guys play 64 games, and you swap your sticks so that you can play like a traditional way, it will tell you, hey, your controller is set to this. Do you want to leave it that way or not?
Yep.
So it's there.
Yeah, so I kind of think Nintendo would think ahead on that. I hope so. Like, this is Nintendo we're talking about. It might be something to add after launch. Kind of like NSO came a year and a half later. Like, yeah, all right. It's Nintendo. I'm not gonna assume it's gonna be a complete package at launch.
Kind of like the
there's
rubber
always
case
things
on the
they're
Wii
not
remote.
thinking about. Like, just like as an example, they didn't realize people would combine the tornado with the bed, and so you go flying. They didn't think you could even do that in the game because they never tested it. There's going to be things with the operating system and like things they thought were really good in the exec room and it tested well. Then it gets in the hands of consumers, and people are going to be like, this is a problem. Like the eShop. I'm sorry, I can't get over. They got to fix that fucking.
It's so
Let's
bad.
talk about it. Let's talk
It's
about.
so
I'm ready for
bad.
this conversation. I'm ready for this conversation.
All right, go off, Joyce. This eShop is shit.
Look, Nintendo's babies. Okay, look. For people like me who just have their credit card that's just like attached to Amazon, and I just like to scroll and just add things to my cart, and I kind of don't look at the price, and and then I wonder why I have to pay such a big credit card bill every month. Okay, I need y'all to get with Amazon and get the eShop together for people like me who like to scroll. And okay, seriously, the reason I want it to be a little bit easier is because of the simple fact that there's people like me who like to scroll, and I found so many gems that way. If you have enough patience and time, and you are literally just sitting there with nothing to do, every single time you move on the eShop and you're going down like a list of games, it takes like about 2 or 3 minutes for it to load. That's absolutely ridiculous. Amazon, you type something in and boom, it gives you all the results that are possible. So I just want something that runs a lot smoother. I would like it to be a little bit prettier. I will admit, I like, colors and Mario bouncing around on the screen or something. But make it easier for people to let's just go through eShop and see what's there. Maybe I'll find something new. I found Crimson Spires. If you guys watch me on Mike's podcast, I've talked about that game before. It's an older game. It was on PlayStation. Found it on Switch. Never heard of it. And I was like, gosh, I'm going to try this. I never even liked visual novels. I'm finishing up Eternights. I had never heard of that game either. Just found it randomly scrolling on the eShop. There are gems. There are a lot of good gems. So Nintendo babies, please get your eShop together to make it easier for us to just go out there and just browse and find really, really good gems. That's all I'm saying.
How about some basic stuff such as not only not having it lag, but how about just like suggesting games based on games I purchased would be like an obvious thing that every platform does but you. Also, when I go look at the deals or the sales, how about not having a bunch of games on there that I already purchased? They should just not even be listed.
Yes.
I already own them. It's taking up space and making me have to scroll more.
Yes.
Like these are like just little basic things. that they're
Yeah,
just
and
not
even
doing.
a filter for the sales that it's like the top rated versus like the 99
Well,
cent
but
games
there's no
that
ratings.
are
There's no ratings.
Exactly.
Add ratings
yeah.
and make it you can only rate something if you actually bought it.
I'm petitioning for the eShop to run on cloud. I've said it.
Yeah, right now it's a web browser, so why not? I don't give a shit. And right now it's a web browser. Put it in the cloud. They're going to use cloud tech. I'm all for it with the eShop.
Let it be where they test cloud the eShop.
I'm totally fine. Totally fine with the cloud. I literally am. It takes all the processing away from the system, which is what they're doing with the web browser anyways. And now they can just have the power of the cloud, unlimited power. There shouldn't be any lag. The only thing was, oh, well, if your internet connection is good, yeah, you're on an eShop. Yeah, you got to have a good internet connection to use an eShop. That's like pretty standard. All right? Like, I'm not worried about that. If I'm on the eShop and I'm buying digitally, let me do my thing. Like, I honestly think, like, I know people joke about the cloud because they hate cloud gaming. Fine. But we're not talking about cloud gaming. Talk about running a shop on infinitely powerful hardware so it could be snappy as hell. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And they're not the only people that do that. There's other people that run their shops on the cloud too. So
I do appreciate the way the eShop is set up because one of the things I do like when I'm in that, I'm just scrolling, just browsing kind of mode, is I do like that they have the trailers there for most of the games. They have trailers there. So some of the games that I've just found just randomly looking, like I can just look at the trailer. It just takes about 10 minutes to load. Okay, maybe not that long. But it takes so long to load because it's so laggy. That's my biggest beef with the eShop. And also to me, it doesn't have the best identity, if you will, because it's just so plain. And I kind of wish they would dress it up a little bit. That's all cosmetic. But if it just ran well, I probably would have bought even more games. Because also I'm not a big fan of digital. So me actually just wanting to download a digital game because it looks that interesting, that's a big enough thing. I think the fact that it lags, honestly, is what's leaving money on the table. That is my honest opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how many of us avoid it like the plague? Because it's like when we get a code we have to redeem, we're like, okay, don't press down too many times, otherwise I'm gonna.
Has eShop ever kicked you out because it's going so slow?
I've been kicked out of the eShop. It's crashed on me before.
Yep.
I haven't even used look. I put on Twitter that Nintendo gave me the Mario and Luigi code. I went to enter it, and the eShop crashed before I could hit the next stage. So I haven't even downloaded it yet because I was like, okay, this is just dumb. This is just dumb. I'm not going back in right now. I ain't got time for this shit. I gotta go take care of my kids. I gotta do something. This is supposed to be a little quick download. I'm gonna play it later tonight. No, you know what? I ain't messing with it right now. I'm good. So thanks for the code, Nintendo, but fix the damn eShop. On Switch, I understand on Switch if you're not gonna make any overhauls, but Switch 2, come on. It's time.
Yeah. It's horrible for scrolling. I was trying to look at a sale just within the last week, and I barely made it down the scroll bar because I'm like, this is stupid. I don't have time for this shit.
Yeah, and you think about that. You go into a game and you just want to look at screenshots or check out the trailer quick, and it's like
dude, that's a big no-no.
Yeah,
I tell everyone, never look at a screenshot or watch a trailer on the eShop. You will crash everything.
Yeah, it's not good. Nintendo, something better, please.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you make a local app, fine. I'm cool with that. I'm good with a local app. A lot of people do local apps. It's cool. But anything other than this web browser based bullshit. And I know that this makes it convenient for it to work so people can go on a web browser and buy things on the eShop through a web browser on a computer. And I get it. Guess what? Everyone else already figured this shit out. They've already figured out how to let you purchase through a web browser, and it still works fine with the app. Enough.
Let me propose something. What if, you know what I kind of think, and I love that we have a music app. That's fabulous. But I don't understand like why we have like our separate game app and a music app, and then you have to go to the actual like online to the Nintendo store to actually like buy things. I'm like, why isn't this like all like together?
So
Or
the
in some
music app I can understand on its own, because eventually there's gonna be
Okay.
so much in it. There's gonna be so much in it one day that it's like, yeah, that should be its own thing. But I think everything else should just be one app. You know, like why is parental controls a separate app? Like why isn't it all just one nice clean? The Xbox, one app. PlayStation, it's one app.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that complicated. And Nintendo, you don't even have that much stuff going on to even have multiple applications. Like you really don't. We can't message people. We can barely voice chat. We can't invite people and make lobbies. But you have like 3 things going on with online. It's just one app. One app's cool.
Just give me an app that I could just browse and shop on. How about that? Give me a shopping app, Nintendo.
An eShop shopping app. Then no one will ever use the system because it's so laggy. We'll just use
We'll just get an app, and then we can keep it away from Well, I guess there's a concern like how do we keep kids from just buying a whole bunch of games online or something? But I guess that's the same concern with the eShop.
Yeah, I think we probably either way. Yeah. All right. We did get a submitted topic.
Ooh.
$2. No one topped it.
Damn.
Our $2 topic is. Now remember, he had to fit this in 50 characters. So that's why it's really broken because he did a $2 super chat. Limits your characters. What MMOs do you think are possible after that playtest? So the MSO playtest happened. It was an MMO, which Nintendo doesn't have an official MMO.
That is done, right?
Yeah, that's done. The playtest is done.
Has Nintendo said anything about it?
No.
No.
Well, why would
they
they?
hear about it for like 4 or 5 years?
Why would they?
I'm on record saying I think that's a real product that they're going to bring out, but other people disagree, and that's fine. I think that bare minimum, it shows that moving forward, Nintendo is considering potential MMO-like things.
I really want to see what that looks like from a Nintendo perspective.
Some people said like Animal Crossing would actually make for a really cool, you have a really awesome single player, but then you can kind of go onto a server and it's a big MMO world with all this quests going on and all the, collecting and building and stuff you could do.
Building cities together.
Yeah. So like Animal Crossing could be a really, really cool MMO. And with it being an MMO, like user generated content can keep that game living the entire generation without even having to drop a ton of updates. They probably would still drop updates, of course, because they'd sell it to you. But I mean, look, they want to make money. So I think that is one that could really make a nice transition into something. Now, they still would have to have a robust single player and have to be playable offline and all that, obviously, because a lot of people enjoy Animal Crossing just by themselves, and that is totally cool.
Yes.
But I think that is one that just makes a lot of sense. I've been on record as well that I've always wanted like a Zelda MMO or a Pokemon MMO, and I don't know if we'll ever get them. But I do think like Animal Crossing seriously actually makes some sense. And then I do think that game could end up being some sort of NSO exclusive MMO one day too. Those are my thoughts on it. I don't know.
I think it'll be a whole new character, whole new world, whole new everything. Because, Zelda's in their world, Mario's in his world. We have Smash Bros. Where worlds collide, if you will. But I do think, Nintendo's due for a new IP altogether. So I kind of low key hope that it's not even low key. I hope that it's like something brand new. We haven't seen it before. New characters, new world. It's a whole other place because, we all love all kinds of games, but nobody does it like Nintendo. There's it's anybody who knows me knows I'm a Prince fan. Prince music when you hear it. I know a Nintendo game just from the first few frames of when I see it. So, and that's not a it's better than anything else or worse or anything like that. So I want to see something brand new if they're doing an MMO, just absolute brand new. Never seen it before. It's completely different. It's completely different. I want to see that.
Yeah.
Stash, what are you thinking?
Yeah, for MMO, I'd like to see something that includes like Nintendo franchises, like all of them together.
Ooh, big mishmash.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting. I don't know if that would ever happen, but I would think that would be pretty cool. And I think if we ever go down the route of having a Nintendo like Marvel style cinematic universe, a game like that could do really well. I mean, obviously Smash Brothers is kind of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think a game that included all the worlds would be cool. I don't really play MMOs.
Yeah. Well, you would have no life.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, when
I would know, as someone who's played MMOs, they absorbed huge chunks of my life in the past.
when I moved to San Diego for work, the staff found out that I'm a huge gamer, right? And this is years ago. And they invited me to play World of Warcraft, and be like part of their team.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to, decline. And I knew I wasn't going to do it. I appreciated the invite, and it was tempting, but I told him, I'm like, dude, there's no way I could do that, because I know I will play nothing else. I won't be able to play all these other games. The amount of time that I have already is so small to be able to do that. So I knew years ago that I would never go down the MMO road, is what I'm trying to say. And that's not going to change. Now, if Nintendo did an MMO with like the one I explained, that could probably be the only instance where it does change, because I would have to check that out. But otherwise, I ain't got time for that. I don't got time for the live service stuff. Okay. The live service stuff. There's too many games. When you look at first party, third party, and indie games, there's so many great indie games out there. So there's
lot.
there's a lot. I mean, we all have a backlog. Some have bigger ones than others, but we all have a backlog. And for the most part, no one's backlog is getting smaller.
No.
So if I play an MMO, man, it's gonna like triple in size.
That's kind of how I felt about Animal Crossing, even though it's not an MMO, but kind of same thing. It can suck you in, and if you get in online and you're constantly visiting islands and people are constantly visiting yours, you're terraforming, you're buying new things for your house, and oh my god, you got to change your outfit, and then you got to put like random closets in the middle of the island itself. That game's, I don't know where 3 months of my life went with that game. So I can only imagine. I know I bought it, and then I don't know what happened for the next 3 months. I have no idea. But I had a really badass island when I was done. So, but I can imagine. In fact, I need to go back to it because I was fixing the island, and then I just literally had to say, stop, play something else, or just stop. I'd still be stuck in there if I didn't stop myself. But I can only imagine what an MMO would do, especially constant updates. I think of how long World of Warcraft has been around, and I'm like, but I still want to see it because I really want to see what Nintendo would do with it.
Yeah.
I love that idea now. We want that, Nintendo. Really cool.
Yeah, who knows what it will be. And that's kind of the thing is too, like when I was playing the playtest, it's just like, I mean, I put in like 3 hours and that was more than enough for me. Like I wanted to like give enough time to Nintendo to try it out, but it's just like, I don't even know where I'm going with this. Like, what are we doing here? There is no end game here, especially on a playtest. You know what I mean? But more or less, I'm like, man, I can spend these 3 hours working on a game I need to review.
The thing about the playtest is, from what I understand, what I've heard about it, the things that I saw online about it, I don't think that it's any. I don't know if that's a quote unquote real game. I think they're testing certain things that or certain mechanics that are going to go into a game.
Yeah.
So because Nintendo wouldn't do that, like and I know people have compared it to like, well, we had the Splatfest or Splatoon test fires and everything. It's like, yeah, but that was after the game was announced, so we already knew it was coming. So that wasn't. It was great to play the test fires and everything, but it wasn't necessarily a surprise. So this game, this online playtest thing, I promise they're doing something else with it because, like, no shade, but that game looked way too plain to be a Nintendo game. The playtest did. I mean, I was like, there's no color to this. Where's the color palette? Where's the pink and the purples? Like, what's happening here? Because y'all know Nintendo likes their color palette.
They do. I'm not convinced it was a finished product. I don't know again if they were obviously they were testing some things right for MMO, but I don't know what part of that game is real. I guess you could say. I don't know if there's something underneath at all, like it's skinned or something. Like we're just playing a skin of something else. I don't even
think it's
know
a shell of something.
Yeah.
And I don't even, and because, people want to data mine everything, I think that they said, we need to test out this, and this. Let's do a makeshift play test, invite 10,000 people, pretend they're not going to talk about it online because we're not going to make them actually sign anything, an NDA. We're just going to ask nicely. And 10,000 people are totally not going to talk about it just so we can test this thing. And in about a year, 2 or 3, they're just going to drop something on us and we're going to be like, what is this? And by then we would have to come back to a podcast like this or before and say, oh, that's right. They did have a play test. Now I remember that because they're trying to wait till we kind of forget about that. I've been vibing with what Nintendo's been doing lately. They're trying to get us to shut up about certain things. I feel like lately, so that you guys want to talk about Switch 2? Here's a new Zelda game. Here's a new Mario and Luigi game. Oh, you still want to talk about Switch 2? Here's a museum opening. Yeah. Look what we're doing with our theme park. Stop asking us.
I know,
like we get to it.
I keep wondering how many things they're gonna have out of left field, right? I think we mentioned this last week, Nate.
Alarmo.
Yeah, it was Alarmo, then it was Nintendo Music.
It's a funny thing. They're doing all of that, right? Acting like they don't want us to talk about Switch 2. And then they come out financial meeting. By the way, Switch 2 is going to have backwards compatibility and NSO. And now stop talking to us again. See you next year. Bye.
That's Daddy Furukawa saying, stop asking me if we're there yet. I'll tell you when we're there.
Yeah.
We'll still reveal this fiscal year. Have a good fucking day.
Don't make me turn this card around.
Don't make me turn this car around and I'm just going to give you remakes and nothing else. No, I'm kidding.
Dude, it's just I like Furukawa, man. He's winning me over. The guy only really talks at financial meetings, and every time he talks is just, hey, that rumor ain't true. Shut up. That's what he said last year. There's those rumors around Gamescom, and some people were saying, oh, yeah, they showed developers Switch 2 dev kits. And he's like, we didn't show no fucking dev kits. He didn't use that language, but I can imagine in his head he was. Like, what the fuck you talking about? He's a fucking dev kit at the fucking Gamescom? Shut the fuck up about that shit.
Per my previous email. That's what that means.
Investors, pay attention to only official news at Nintendo.com. All right.
Fuckers.
Sure. You're overinflating stock, fuckers. We're not revealing this shit right now. Fuck.
Stop asking us dumbass shit. Take this Alarmo, take this Mario and Luigi, and kiss my ass.
He's so blunt. It's just blunt, forward. Like, he's so honest. He just says it and moves on. And then everyone's like, wait, what the fuck did you just say? Like, oh, hey.
But
do you think this is going to affect? Hey, you think if Switch 2 is revealed, would it affect Switch sales that much? Maybe a little bit, but it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Now, stop fucking asking me.
What I love about him. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Do you think they're sitting in meetings going, what is the strangest shit that we can give to our fans?
We give a fucking alarm clock. Hey, guys, next up, We got the Nintendo
Where's
smartwatch.
the line of shit they will not buy?
Give them the Nintendo smartwatch because they can't attach Alarmo to their wrist.
Right.
No, y'all, this is what they're gonna do next. We have new hardware, guys. Introducing Nintendo headphones.
Ah,
Oh yes.
And look. And they wait, where's the button?
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
But it does not have a headset or headphone or microphone on it because we don't have the ability to talk to your friends.
Oh no. They're gonna sell the microphone.
They're
It's
so
just gonna be an extra $90.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And it'll have voice changers in it, so you can
Yeah.
sound like Mario and Luigi.
Exactly. You
But-
could sound like Charles Martinet.
But you sound like shit. It would be very muffled. But no one's supposed to mention that.
But only in Nintendo, like only in Nintendo Switch Online. If you jump into Fortnite, it doesn't
Yes.
sound like Mario
Right.
anymore. If you
It's
jump
gotta be
into
an
Rocket League, it doesn't sound like Mario anymore.
Only in online matches in Splatoon if you're voice chatting on the app.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we don't. This don't work.
Wait till you
Yes.
guys hear the voice for Link, and then it's just complete silence.
Oh God.
That's what they call it. The mute button.
Oh Lord.
The mute button, the link button.
Someone had just said Pokemon Squirtle bidet.
You know what?
Great.
If that was a real product released by Nintendo, I would actually. I'll pick it up. I'll try the Squirtle bidet. I'll give a review.
I'll buy that.
What-
I would so buy it.
Maybe if it was Flood. If it was Flood.
it.
Ah,
Oh yeah, it's got flood.
Different
I like that
nozzles.
too. But I will say this about Furukawa. You guys are nuts. I will say this about Furukawa that I
What the Pokemon move I was about to say.
no say it, Nate. Say it.
No,
It's after
no,
10.
I'm good. Nope.
But it's after 10.
I
You
don't,
can say bad things now.
it's after 10. Yeah, maybe not for the audio listeners that listen tomorrow morning.
Oh yeah, good point.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for all the F words, y'all. No.
No,
Yeah.
no,
But-
we fucking swear on- we're an adult show.
How dare you fucking
How dare
apologize
you,
for that?
Joycey, question the age group of my audience?
What the fuck am I apologizing for? Seriously, what's wrong with me? I'm gonna go sit in the corner, I promise.
You know shit.
But seriously though, what I do appreciate about Furukawa though, in his like low key like stop asking me, but here's something else. He's keeping Nintendo like so fresh in the conversation. And I know that we're kind of going through a quote unquote. Well, I don't feel like we're going through a dry spell. I know some people feel like we are because we don't have any huge Zelda, huge Mario, that sort of thing at the moment. But Furukawa keeps dropping these they're drip feeding us, and like we're like following like breadcrumbs, or like in Family Guy, ooh, piece of candy, ooh, piece of candy, ooh, piece of candy. Every time Nintendo tweets something. So by the time they are ready to announce Switch 2, they already have our eyes on them. And then when they unleash this thing on the world, then of course everybody else is going to be on board. So that I actually really do appreciate. And I feel like that's what they're doing on purpose. They're like, okay, here's a little bit of something, here's a little something, here's an Alarmo, here's a new app, here's a game. Eventually they're gonna get to the back of the shelf and it's gonna be Switch 2. Eventually.
But I'll piggyback on that a little bit, and I think those breadcrumbs are also in Mario Kart Happy Meals and Mario Kart clothing
Facts.
and
Facts.
Mario
Yeah.
Kart Lego, and I believe strongly, especially with the release of 2 consoles with Mario Kart tied to them this year, that Mario Kart whatever when it comes out will be very much tied to Switch 2. And I think they're milking this thing. I think they're milking the cart for all they can right now. I want to touch on the MMO thing quick, but I don't know if we're on a time crunch or anything. But
we're fine. You got it, man.
I think that test was more about a metaverse, and I know that that's not necessarily a real fond term with, but Roblox, Fortnite, like where we have and you kind of mentioned it, Prime, about like, a lot of UGC, right? A lot of user generated content. Like, and so what I'll throw out here, and it's super old school, and I've kind of got 2, but the first would be something in the vein of Captain N, where we build our own character. We get like, if you think like Mario Golf, especially on like the 3DS, the way you could customize your character in that game, like you had like N64 hats and like GameCube hats and like NES themed clothing and all, like it was, I mean, even look at my avatar online for N64 Josh, like it's very much Captain N meets Han Solo. Like that was the whole idea behind it, right? So, but to be able to run around with the zapper and different weapons like that, similar to like what you could do in Splatoon, but to have all of this, like, yeah, let's step into Animal Crossing world, almost like Nintendo Land on the Wii U, but on such a massive scale to where like, yo, we're playing mini games over here in this Animal Crossing land that was made by all these different users. And I mean, Nintendo's not, their market research is not looking, they're not skipping Roblox and Dress to Impress and all this kind of stuff that like these things become like this is like rooted, like it's now a part of pop culture. Like when the people at TikTok are telling me, yo, maybe you should stream some Dress for Success before you do Mario Kart or Dress to Impress or whatever it's called. I can't remember because I shouldn't be playing it, but
but you were.
You know, I did. Yeah, I did.
By the way, a lot of adults have been playing that.
What is it?
Yeah. It's a Roblox game called Dress to Impress, and you literally just dress up and then walk down and do post 28.
On the runway,
you know, yeah, post 28. It's all about post 28. So,
it's all
I literally asked my daughter the other day. I was like, post 28, and she did it. I was like, oh my god, I love it. You know, like it's just it's hilarious. So
nice.
It's all over TikTok and stuff too. It's everywhere. Yeah.
But I mean, when I say metaverse, think Ready Player One. Where we literally log into Nintendo Land, and it's just what are your friends making? What are people making? What, you know, Mario Maker on a whole new level, dungeon makers, all this kind of stuff. Okay, so that's one possible option where we're continually leveling up. We're playing an ever evolving, ever living game essentially. The second MMO style game that I would absolutely love more than anything is Metroid meets Destiny. So we create our own bounty hunter. We Samus is in the world, but not necessarily somebody we're playing as. And we're continually doing missions, getting loot drops, adding different armor to the hunter that we are building, and doing you know 3-person strikes together, doing raids just like in Destiny, but all in the Metroid universe. And that would probably be the one game that could pull me away from Mario Kart if they did something like that, because Destiny did that very thing. Like that continual carrot being dropped, what's the new raid coming out, what's the new strikes, what, you know, like if that was in the Metroid universe, it's game over, goodbye. Like I'll just be covered in Cheeto dust and Mountain Dew, living in I will move into my mom's basement just to play that. So
that Captain N thing you talked about would be sick. I love Captain N. Love it. That'd be really cool.
Minus Mega Man's voice.
Yeah, maybe. Do we keep Simon Belmont's voice?
Bruh.
It's a little questionable too. But dude, man, I always said like that is a game that is a IP that should have had a video game.
Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That and
wait, which one?
Captain N.
Oh, okay, sorry.
That should have had it.
Bring
and
Let's do it.
Short Circuit. Short Circuit, man.
Oh,
Johnny
yes.
5, dude.
Yeah.
It would be a great video game.
Not too late.
Never too late. Never too late. I would still play it.
Everybody will think it's Wall-E.
They would.
Aw.
They would.
Yeah.
Such a sweet
It might
movie.
help sales. Hey, what were you going to talk about Zelda, Wind Waker. Did we talk about
Yeah,
that?
we can talk about
I'm
it here.
happy to always talk about Zelda.
Yeah, we can
So
talk about it
yes,
here.
we're talking
Why
about
not?
it.
Little bonus topic. Wind Waker. So basically, there is a rumor out there that Wind Waker is coming to Switch. Wind Waker HD. No big deal. It's a retail leak. A retailer in Russia who has a history of leaking Nintendo Switch games in the past in this exact same way. Basically, just putting them up for pre-order or place order dates before they get announced. And then they get announced. The placeholder date, by the way, is the end of this year. It is every single time. It's always December 31st at the end of the year. Doesn't mean it's coming out this year. But this game has been rumored a billion times, right? It's been rumored a billion times. Journalists, by the way, like from actual game journalists with connections saying that it's happening. They kind of just stopped talking about it because it was supposed to happen years ago. And it did. And then it was going to happen. Then it didn't. And now the official word from people like Jeff Grubb is, we don't know what Nintendo's doing. They've had it done for a long ass time.
Twilight Princess 2, right? Was also a rumor.
Yeah. So my thoughts are that I could see them announcing Wind Waker HD. I can even see them shadow drop it if they want. They totally could do that. Could be a December shadow drop. Absolutely. They could do something like that. I'm not saying they will, but they could. I don't know if this is real or not, but what I will say is bringing Twilight Princess HD and Wind Waker HD and the Twilight years of Switch, even after Switch 2 is out, I still think makes sense. You still have a massive install base, super easy ports. If they're already done, you just drop them, make your easy money, sell millions of Zelda. Meanwhile, people are hyped on Switch 2, and it's all good. I think it's a win-win. I don't think there's any, and backwards compatibility, you'll be able to play it on your Switch 2 anyways. I think it's just a win. I think it makes a lot of sense that maybe Nintendo sat on them because they knew after Echoes of Wisdom they weren't going to have any new Zelda games.
I don't think Echoes of Wisdom was supposed to even be a Switch 1 game.
Yeah, it might not have been. But bottom line is, now that it's out, there's no more new Zelda games coming to Switch. So if they're going to keep the Zelda audience on Switch happy that maybe can't get the Switch 2 or aren't going to buy the Switch 2 year 1 or year 2, you have Twilight Princess HD, you have Wind Waker HD. Throw them a bone, and Switch 2 people will be happy because we'll have it through backwards compatibility. Maybe there's even some DLSS shenanigans that makes it even better on Switch 2. Who knows? But yeah, that's what I think. So it's one of those things. Like, I could see them shadow drop it this summer. Sure, I could. Maybe that's why they're still so confident they're going to sell 12.5 million Switches, because maybe they think they'll sell a few extra because of Zelda. I don't know. Do they need to? No. Could they? Sure. Does it make sense? It's made sense to drop this thing years ago, let alone now. So Nintendo, do what you want, man. I trust him for Akawa. Whenever you
question.
Think right.
I have a question though.
Yeah.
So, because this is kind of good because we're circling back to what we first talked about. Well, we were talking about the Zelda movie coming out, and Stash brought up a good point about it being the 40th anniversary next year, and what best way to commemorate all that, and it would be Ocarina of Time, because we know Wind Waker, gaming fans know Wind Waker, but the world and gaming fans knows Ocarina of Time. So I'm kind of curious on how that would work. If there's also possibly, these are all just rumors, guys. I'm also interested to see how that would work with if there's an Ocarina of Time remake out there.
That's why they could shadow drop December. They could shadow drop February. There's no game for February right now. Like, I'm talking $40 shadow drop. They're not looking at this to be some mega seller. It's a simple, easy port they've had done for a hell of a long time. They just drop it. They make their money. Ocarina of Time's like a Switch 2 game, not Switch 1. So they can justify having that Switch 1 drop with the Switch 2 drop later in the year. I think it could all work out. It's all timing, obviously, but like, I'm a Zelda fan. You just give me games I buy. It is what it is.
I'll just feel better buying it at $40.
I'll feel better if there's a little gap. But hey, yeah, either way, you give me Wind Waker 1 month, Twilight Princess the next, Ocarina of Time. I guess 3 months in a row I'm buying Zelda. It is what it is.
No, but I mean, if they didn't do anything to it, $40 Nintendo, or you put Twilight Princess and Wind Waker together, and then make that $60.
I don't want to see Twilight Princess without a remake personally, but
nobody does, because the HD remake was garbage. Yeah, I said it. Okay, there I said it. Okay, the HD remake was garbage. It's still fuzzy.
It's not.
It's not good.
It's not good. It needs a graphical overhaul. And
We bought it for the amiibo.
And Wind Waker doesn't. Bottom line is Wind Waker doesn't.
Wind Waker was gorgeous when it came out.
You just gotta lower the bloom a little. I would be nice if you rein that in a little bit in that HD version, but
okay, that's true.
It's still good. It's still even with some of the overbearing bloom at times, it's still really good.
But it was pretty when it came out. It was even prettier when they did it in HD. So I don't know how much prettier they can make that.
It don't need to.
It really doesn't need it.
That's what it is. Ray tracing shadows in a cell shaded game. Let's go, baby.
Yep.
I agree, Stash.
Oh, the spinner.
The spinner.
Yes.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, it's so good.
Spinner was amazing. It was sucked that like it's so little use outside of the dungeon, but it's so awesome.
But the fight that you have to use it for and the dungeon you have to use it for,
epic fight.
That's one of the reasons I kind of want them to bring unique dungeons back. I did like the Divine Beasts, even though they got a lot of grief. I did like the dungeons in Tears of the Kingdom. But Arbiter's Grounds, like, the Twilight Princess dungeons, Link to the Past dungeons, they're not all the same, and that's what I like about it. They're not same. They're not samey enough, even though what you do in them is the same. You get in there, you find the keys, you find the boss key, you find the unique item, you beat up the boss, you have a mini boss. Okay, that's all fine, but all the dungeons are all very, very different. And Arbiter's Grounds was like the party I never knew I needed. I was creeped out. I had a good time. The final boss is or the boss of that temple is amaze balls, and the way you fight it with the spinner. I'm going to just go on a whole tangent. I'll shush up.
No.
That was not even the question.
You can even like it as like Tears of the Kingdom, right? There's a specific dungeon that's extremely different from all the rest.
There is. And I was like, why this one? Okay, and I'm not going to lie. It did throw me off that high. Spoiler alert, if you haven't finished Tears of the Kingdom by now, okay? It did throw me off that Hyrule Castle was not necessarily the final place. In Tears of the Kingdom. Sure. That was a good change up. And you had this badass cutscene and creepy Ganon, and it was great. It was great. I love that. And the way, even though I'm tired of Puppet Zelda, no more Puppet Zelda, but I liked her in that moment. I was like, this is amazing. I love this.
And the moment was pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, look.
What do you guys think? The ones that I keep talking over.
About the dungeons?
All of you about anything. Wind Waker. I'm sorry.
I prefer the old school dungeons, like you mentioned. I absolutely love the dungeons in A Link to the Past.
Yes.
I played through A Link to the Past earlier this year on the it's like the Super Nintendo CD version. That obviously never came out, and it has 135 tracks in the game, CD quality music in the game from the Zelda series. It has all the originals and then tons of other ones. And to replay it like that on my my analog Super NT, so like in full HD and surround sound with that great music was just so it was so amazing. And it's like I already love this game, and it took it to another level. It really does. Like if you ever decide to play through Link to the Past again, and you know how to get it, that's a great way to play it. And I still own the game. Obviously, I still own my original cartridge. But man, it was amazing. So I love those dungeons. Ocarina of Time. For me, those two games right there have the best dungeons. I would love to see that worked back into the mainline flagship Zeldas, as opposed to the Divine Beast. Give us the old school dungeons, please. I love them. And I think Nintendo's listening, right?
They are. I like Twilight Princess's dungeons. I think they're some of the more unique ones.
Twilight's great.
Only because when you go to the snow area and you go meet the Yetis.
Yeah.
I didn't see it coming until because you go around and you find food first. Sure. And then it's like Yeah, I know 10,000 noodles. I'm trying not to say too much, even though I'm saying way too much. But I didn't see it coming. And I was like, wait, am I in a dungeon? And then you find the map and it's like, I'm in a dungeon? This is somebody's house. Why am I in a dungeon?
Yeah, that was cool.
That was one of the things I loved about that. And those
Twi-
block puzzles drove me crazy.
Twilight's my number for dungeons, I would say, is number 3.
That's fair. I'll allow it.
And I would even go as far as saying they're in no specific order. Those are like my top 3 for dungeons. And if you can give us that in the new flagship Zeldas, man, that would be amazing. I'd be so happy to see that happen again. See,
Josh, what's your favorite Zelda dungeon or set of dungeons?
Ooh, that's a good question, honestly. I'm in this rare place in my life where like I've not played a lot of these games more than once. And so like I'm able to go back and kind of experience them for the first time again. So like
that's nice.
And not all I have not completed every Zelda game. So I still have plenty that but like to be completely honest, I remember almost zero of Wind Waker because I have not played it since it launched on GameCube. So I remember very little. I played some of it again on Wii U, but I didn't get all the way through it.
I haven't played it since Wii U.
With Ocarina, I've played like a little bit of it on the 3DS, but I beat it back in 98 when it came out or whatever. So like that's the last time I completed it. So I'm also recognizing I started Metroid Dread again this week. I just finished Samus Returns on the 3DS this week also. And I'm realizing that like I would consume those games so quickly that I don't necessarily, I loved them, couldn't stop playing them, but then didn't go back a second time. And so a lot of the stuff I'm like, I don't even remember. So like thinking back, like, you know, some of the like the stuff with the Gorgons and whatnot in Ocarina, I loved that area is one that really sticks out with me. And honestly, I don't know if I assume we consider it a dungeon, but even going into the DQ tree in the beginning of
that's a dungeon.
Like I loved that jumping through the spider web from way up high, and so that was like we hadn't, especially then, that was like what are we doing here? This is so different and so unique and so much fun. So yeah, just off the top of my head, that's where I will go. I will, as far as like talking about Wind Waker coming out, and I'm pulling up like, you know, the last Wii game. Granted, it wasn't first party. The last Wii game that released was in 2019. And so with the system as healthy as the Switch, I think we have a couple years where we're gonna see
remasters galore.
Yeah, and I think that Twilight very much could be, or Wind Waker could very much be a November, like a fall 2025 title potentially. And because they do like to release Zelda games pretty consistently, right? So they've got a lot of ports and remakes and stuff that could be, and those two are, well, I mean, like we've talked about, like if journalists have already mentioned, like, why aren't these, like, they're just holding them. They're just holding them for that to keep sprinkling Zelda games in along the way.
Nintendo averages publishing a game per month during the Switch's life, like, and that's without dropping them. So yeah, they're just saving them. Why?
Yeah,
because they're gonna sell millions while Switch 2 is out, and they're not gonna care.
Yeah, and the fact that we're seeing Xenoblade Chronicles X before,
yeah, right.
That's insanity. But Echoes just came out, and they've got these in they know what they have. They know what they have, and so it's just they're going to be games that they're going to hold us over, until, and you know, I think again another 2+ years of Switch games still, like, they're being very methodical with the talking about backwards compatibility. And I mean, again, I could go forever on this because I've had so many thoughts when it comes to what they're doing right now. So
I believe in Furukawa. I'm going to keep saying it.
Yep. Yeah.
He just
Real quick, Nate, do you and Eric have favorite Zelda dungeons? Or y'all have favorite games? Do you have a favorite dungeon?
Skyward Sword. Love it.
Okay.
Love it.
Oh, that is a good one. That was low key build your own dungeon.
It was awesome. You had to figure out the best way to organize the rooms. Then you had to go conquer the rooms. It was sick. Loved it. Oh, geez. Man. I'm just going to stick with that one for now. I have some others, but I can end up talking for like an hour on it. So,
yeah. I
mean,
I
stick with the one.
I never really played a whole lot of the older Zelda games and things like that. I've kind of more picked it up with, Breath of the Wild and newer. So I haven't really experienced the whole, like, I've experienced it because I've sat and watched Nate play pretty much everything. But so I mean, I haven't played it, so it doesn't really stick in my memory as much as like if I were to have played it myself. So I honestly can't even think of
Well,
much.
from the ones you have played, do you have a
you've gotten
favorite?
2 Zelda games.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite dungeon?
I mean,
Those
do
are
you
the ones to
even
beat.
all
Do
them
you have
dungeons?
They are
I mean,
dungeons.
sure.
You wouldn't even
God.
know. You haven't played a real Zelda game
Yeah,
with a dungeon, remember?
That's what I'm saying.
Echoes of Wisdom.
Well, yeah.
There's dungeons of that.
Yeah. I mean, that Colgera fight was pretty freaking awesome.
Oh, it's one of the goated fights.
Yeah. So
The music is goated. The music made that fight even better. I didn't even know you could fall into the little glass things on his back.
Yeah. You could
I found that out, like,
through,
I don't
and
know how much
you're
longer.
flying all over the place, and the music's going, and then it hits you with like, oh.
And then Tulin keeps talking, and it's like, shut up,
Dude,
boy. He's explaining to me.
that fight was so. I've been waiting for a fight like that in Zelda like my whole life. Ever since they had that one in Twilight Princess when you're zipping around with the hook shots, and it was like, it was a little disappointing how that fight went. But it kind of gave you a taste of like, man, I kind of just want to fly around and fight some fucking beast. And then we got to do it. And then we got to actually do it. And it was sick.
I think my favorite's probably the Water Temple. Ocarina of Time.
The Water Temple?
You're lying.
Water Temple.
From Ocarina of Time? Woo! On purpose?
On purpose.
I'm just kidding.
Blink twice if you're in
The blinks happen. The blinks happen. All right. I think it's going to do it for the show today. Let's go around the room and let people know who we are. We'll get going. I will start with Joycey J because I think that's going on Friday.
Hello, guys. I am Joycey J. My claim to fame is I'm a mod.
You fucking me? Bam!
That's my claim to fame. Yeah, you fuck with my babies here, my chat, my chat, excuse me, Nate's chat, my buddies,
my chat,
my buddies, Nate's chat. I will fuck you up and ban you. But other than that, for those who I love, the rest of everybody else, you can follow me on Twitter. I refuse to call it X at DJ Joycey. And on Friday nights, I am on the Mike Odyssey show for the Nintenbyte Podcast. So you can catch me over there every Friday.
All right. N64 Josh, aka Mario Kart.
Yeah, that's it. Just Mario Kart.
Just call Mario Kart.
Every time I see you stream it seems to be Mario Kart. So.
Oh yeah. No, I try to stream, like I've tried to stream 2D Tuesdays and 3D Thursdays, and then all I get in chat is, when are we playing Mario Kart again? And I'm like, okay, all right. So, Yeah, so we do a lot of Mario Kart.
Play Splatoon.
I know, it's great. I used to do Saturday morning Splatoons. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, so you guys can find me everywhere at N64Josh. I do have something very special coming out. I have always been the kind of like, I'm gonna just go as fast as I can and get as much content out. My YouTube channel has damn near 3,000 videos on it, and none of them are that great. Let's be real. And so I've started slowing down and like really trying to put some effort into stuff. And before I jumped into this show, I'm literally working on like the sound effects for lack of a better term, it's a Metroid fanfic that is very deep. I'm trying to stay very close to the lore, but it's an audiobook, so it'll be on YouTube. It doesn't have much for visuals. It's going to be pretty light in visuals, but it's for the podcast but I've been getting a lot of feedback on the writing before I even put it out, and people seem to be loving it so far. So very excited. I'm hoping that the first video will either drop tomorrow or Friday. That's my goal. So I'm very, very close. And my goal, honestly, is to just grow a Metroid army, because I just want more and more people to know and love this. Essentially the pilot episode that I showed to some people, they were like, now I want to go play Metroid Prime for the first time. I was like, that's the point of this. So go play that. So, yeah. So, and again, it's just, I'm N64Josh everywhere, and that's where you'll find this stuff.
Awesome. Eric.
Yep, I'm here. That's pretty much it.
Yep. Wearing red.
We're
You got
glad you're
Mario
here.
next to him there, to the left of his head.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just chilling in a wreath for some reason. Hey, shout out to my fiance, by the way. Thank you, Yulia, for decorating the set for the holidays.
Looks good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Looks
And
very
she's like,
good.
you should do a snow thing on your thing and combine it. And I'm like, you're Nightmare Before Christmas, aren't you? It's a good aesthetic. The snow and the fall together goes well.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have snow in the fall. It's been a long time since that's happened. Thunderstash, we got going on, Mr. Mike Tyson shirt.
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah, watching it. Yeah.
Hey, who you guys got? Who we got?
Tyson.
Here's the
That's
thing.
what I want.
If it doesn't go more than 3 rounds, Tyson kicked his ass. But if it goes the full 8, then he's pulling a Rocky, letting Tyson wear out, and then try to win the back end rounds.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the only strat he has to win. He has to take the fucking piss up beating. Like let Tyson just wind up and pound the fuck out of you, because he's too old. He won't last 8 rounds. He will get worn out. But that's the Rocky Balboa strategy, and everybody knows it.
Yeah, it is.
Including Mike Tyson. He knows that it's a very well-known strategy. But Mike Tyson might not care, because he just might think, I get one uppercut, the fucker's done. So
That's Mike's mindset.
probably his mindset. I'm knocking this fucker out. So
It's exciting. I'm
like,
excited for it.
if Jake Paul could take the beating he's about to get and somehow win some later rounds, I will give him a little respect in the boxing world, because he's about to get this fucking bell rung.
I agree with you. I will too. I don't know him. Like,
Yeah, I don't care about him as a person, but like,
yeah,
just,
I mean, I didn't know anything about him ever. I just,
it's kind of annoying.
I didn't know anything about any of it.
I'm a
I
fan,
still
so.
don't know much about him, but yeah, I don't hate the person. I don't hate anybody I don't know. Obviously,
He just got famous. He's been in Disney stuff back in the day. That's what he
yeah, I heard a little bit about that. But yeah, bottom line, I want to see Mike win, of course. But yeah, if he takes a beating, if Jake takes a beating and ends up winning, I respect that.
Yeah, you gotta.
You got
It's the only way the only chance I think he has to win. He's not outboxing him. It's not happening.
Yeah.
Even at his advanced stage, I don't give a shit. Mike Tyson.
I said this. I'm sorry. I was gonna say. I said this like the other night or something. Tyson's like way more zen these
Mhm.
days. So all he is focused. I think that's scarier than when he was young and
Oh yeah, he only wants to do one
Good
thing.
point.
just mad. Yeah. So
By the way, Joyce and Jay just let me know that Nintendo just tweeted. I'm going to show the tweet quick. This is hilarious. Usually this doesn't happen. They schedule these tweets out, right? So you should be able to catch this. Nintendo has a nice little spelling mistake, their little typo.
or is it a clue to switch to?
Find
out tomorrow
Is
on
going to
this
be
channel.
EP.
It's gonna be no wait, that's like the EP, it's gonna be The Legend of Zelda, Elegant Eastern
Here we go.
Pirates of Yesterday coming to Switch 2. There we go. Prediction. Clip that, y'all.
It
Totally
is
predicted
funny though. It clearly meant to be sleepy, but it is what it is.
It's not a
Yeah.
typo. That's a slang for sleepy nowadays.
Is it really?
Yes.
Fuck the youth, man.
No,
Yes,
it's
yes,
Get
not.
off my lawn.
Eric,
Yeah,
Are you
get off
serious?
my
Yes.
lawn.
That's weird.
You damn
That's
weird.
kids.
Oh my
I
god.
guess sleepy
Why did
was
they
too long.
Yeah,
they
it
had to
does.
change
It
it
is
to
slang.
EP.
It's oh my god, you can't put the SL on there. You know what, Nintendo? Then I'm disappointed you didn't edit an Alarmo into the screenshots.
Yeah, that'd have been good.
All right. Well, I guess they didn't fuck up, but for anyone who's over the age of 10, they fucked up. Sorry, actually, the slang might actually be like used by people in their 20s. I have no fucking idea.
I looked it up. It really is a thing. Y'all don't say mimis? Or maybe that's like a Texas thing. Because we'll say, I want to go mimis.
I've heard that.
I go to
Yeah.
sleep. But I think mimis is also like, is shortened for a Spanish term, which means go to sleep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
All right.
that's all the slang I have.
So, Thunderstitch, you got anything going on besides the fight on Friday?
Yeah. Okay. So I just beat Black Ops 6 today. And now I was reviewing it for the campaign mode. I played the last Black Ops that came out that was all about the Cold War. And this one is all about Desert Storm in Iraq and Saddam Hussein. I'm like, it was pretty badass, I got to tell you guys. So look for that review. Again, it was for the campaign. I really enjoy the campaigns if they do it right. And this game was very interesting. I'll just say, without saying too much, it really surprised me in a lot of different ways. So yeah, check that out. And then next is Sonic X Shadow Generations. And then I'm picking up Dragon Quest, of course, 3 HD tomorrow. Love me some Dragon Quest. So I will be doing that as well next. I have a list. I have a list behind me. You guys can see it's on that side of me.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of games. There's a lot of games on that.
Wow.
It's never ending. It's a never ending story. That's how it is for all of us, though, right? We all have so many games to play. That's
Yep.
where I'm at.
Awesome.
Oh, Cobra Kai 2 on Friday. Season 6 part 2, Cobra Kai.
Mm.
Oh, I forgot that's this weekend.
Friday, Tyson fights Friday.
I'm gonna have to re-up my Netflix sub. Fuck. I was hoping to wait till the end of the month. Oh no. Damn it. All right, hey, whatever. Netflix got some more money out of me this month. This is what it is.
Discord watch party.
Hey, shh. Those don't happen. Those aren't a thing. They might get mad.
Oh no, nobody does
ever
that.
does it.
I was just being
Yeah, no one ever does that. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm obviously Nintendo Prime over here. You know what's funny? I get a lot of comments at times that people don't know what I say at the end of my videos because I say my name. The reason that you don't know what I'm saying is because I have a really long last name.
Mm-hmm.
And because I do, it doesn't really roll off the tongue very well. So I am going to end this show by just saying my name nice and slow, like, so you can Google me and find out all the fucked up shit I've done. So Nathaniel Rumpful Jantz. There
Good luck
you go.
spelling it.
Good luck. Good luck. That being said, you can find this podcast everywhere podcasts are heard, and you can watch it right here. The audio version is probably better than the video version this time around because Restream was having some audio issues with the stream version. So, is what it is. We'll be back same time,